I definitely thought I had more of the song to go, but it turns out that that was the entire song. It's not that long of a song, my bad. Hello. It's like, ah, yes. Let me just quickly scroll down here. I still have a little more time before my stream ends and we can properly start stream. I thought wrong. Context before the game officially ends doesn't technically end. I see. Well, I will probably not see today, but I will find out. So thank you for the pets. Oh god. Well, welcome back to Tyrion Cuthbert. I'm sorry, I am. Technically, I shouldn't be tired. Like, I shouldn't be tired considering I only got up sometime in the early afternoon. But, well, here we are. Yeah, I find it interesting that you managed to read through it all, but then I realized, right, you can just read for yourself. You don't have to read out anything. And no commentary. So obviously you would be faster than me right now. But on the other hand, I'm glad you did, because that means you can be here. Without going, oh no, I wanted to play this for myself. Yeah, let the other train pass, because apparently it is the perfect time for many trains to pass by right when I start streaming. I'll go for myself. Yeah, but I'd say it will probably take me double that time just from reading it out loud. Case 5, Attorney of the Arcane. We're using the game title for the last case. That's funky. I've killed people. Well, yes. They're usually criminals or bandits, but it still frightened me how unaffected I was by their deaths. It always came so easily to me. I was good at it, a little too good. People told me that taking our lives of others would be hard, but I never felt uneasiness, not even once. It made me think that I was some kind of unfeeling monster, and maybe I am. But the time I spent with you filled me with more happiness than I could have ever dreamed of. Instead of taking lives, I could save them alongside you. It felt good to protect you. I felt needed when I knew you were relying on me. It made me feel like I was actually worth something to someone. And whenever I saw the light in your eyes, it filled my heart with a warm feeling that I've never felt before. But it was too good to be true, wasn't it? In the end, I failed you. I couldn't protect you just like I could protect my father. I don't understand. What did you ever see in someone like me? Oh god, girl, what's happening? I'm so 5. That's the third I see. What the actual fuck? Okay, I guess it's a full hour. Maybe that's fine. Tyrion. Hi, new background. Still haven't gotten out of bed yet. It's almost noon. Me earlier today, actually. I think I just want to rest today. You've been saying it for the last 10 days. Ooh, mood. Someone is actually here to see you. You should really get out of bed. Is it tomorrow? No. I'm still not really in the mood. Can you just send them away? It's a bit rude, but I suppose I can overlook it this time. Hey! Hi! How's your injuries? Steward! As the prosecutor enters your room, you immediately leap out of your bed. You try to futilely clean your unkept hair, but you're just making it worse. Tyrion, pants! Right, sorry. I'll give you some time to ready yourself. Hey, yo. I knew he was in a rut, but I certainly didn't expect this. I know, I'm really worried about him. I empathize with his situation, but it's been a month already. Have you tried speaking with him? He has opened up to you before. I did, but I think he's really broken up over what happened with Ruby. She's basically the closest thing he had to family. I mean, yes, technically. I see. Perhaps he just needs more time. Take some time to make yourself presentable. You exit your room to greet the prosecutor properly. Sorry about that. Well, I suppose the fault is mine. I shouldn't have intruded. Anyway, so what brings you here? What does indeed? Are you doing well, Mr. Cuthbert? You seem... I'm fine. Of course. I just couldn't help but notice your absence. You haven't taken any other clients since Beatrice's trial. I'm going to be honest, I'm not even sure if I want to be a defense attorney anymore. What? I spent my whole life training to be one, but I was only doing it because someone else told me to. Did you not enjoy it? You are very skilled at it. I don't know. I've been trying to take some time to think about everything. You still haven't found any answers. Have you considered becoming a prosecutor? I mean, I guess. Your time as my stand made it clear that you have the ability to. A prosecutor. You'd have never even considered that a year ago, but you understand now. There are criminals who need to be brought to justice. And despite how difficult she is to face, Steven never engages in outright corruption like the other prosecutors of the crown. If you follow her example, you could fight injustice that way. But even if you did that, you'd just be following someone else's footsteps just like before. I'll think about it. Please do. At this point, I could use all the help I can find. Why? What's happening? Have your injuries been healing well? Yes, Nyker's skills in necromancy is quite remarkable. I'm glad they introduced him to House Asclepius? Excuse me, what? How do you say that? House Asclepius specializes in the study of necromancy. After Nyker's expulsion from the academy, I thought it was only right that he be allowed to continue his studies. Right, he mentioned that he owed you a favor. It was only logical. It would be a waste to let someone of his talents fade into obscurity. I'm glad Wallace was able to continue his studies. He clearly wants to use his talents to better society. He's definitely in a better place than you are right now. Even so, should you still be moving around like this? You should take some time off to recover. As much as I would like to, there's been a recent uptick in cases of mageblight lately. Mageblight? I recall hearing about that many times. If a mage exceeds their stamina by overusing their magic, it starts to affect their mind and send them into a violent frenzy. To make matters worse, the nobility has been trying to suppress information about these incidents. Right. It's not a good look whenever a mage goes on a murderous rampage. I was actually surprised to see you here, Celeste. Well, I can't just leave him alone anymore. He ticked off a criminal overlord. They're definitely going to send someone after him, and he can't really take care of himself right now. Celeste, your thoughts are leaking. Get out of my head. What? It's okay. I am surprised though. Not many people slide the eye taker and live. He's not for taking swift retaliation against his enemies. I'm hoping he's laying low if this plan with Beatrice fell through. That does much with the reports I've read. Supposedly he's been absent from many of his enterprises. Either way, you're not looking forward to dealing with him. It's bad enough that you're already on the nobility's bad side. Is he even still alive? Genuinely? After, like, you know, the end of last time? Oh, yeah. I guess he finally explained it to her. That he can read people's thoughts. By the way, Tyrion, Ruby sent another letter. Do you want to... Whatever the rest. Right. Have you spoken to her since the trial? I see. That does explain her recent mood. Right, you two probably see each other a lot. I've prosecuted a few of her clients recently, but it's clear she's not nearly as threatening as before. We talk about something else. Of course. My apologies.
That's the tea kettle. Tea's ready.
Thank you. Some tea sounds lovely right now. Right, I was totally making it for you guys. Aww. She works at the cabinet in the new kitchen and she takes up 2 more teacups. You guys better enjoy this. These are my last bags of... As she walks over to you, she slips on a scroll case that you left on the floor. She regains her balance, but the teacups slip out of her hands. The boiling liquid is airborne and is heading right toward your face. Figacqua? Celeste reacts immediately and points her index finger at the tea. Her magic takes hold and the tea freezes just inches from your face. She breathes a sigh of relief and she brings the tea back into the cups. You really need to clean the spice. I'm your bodyguard, not your maid. Right. Sorry about that. Where even are we? That was shaved liquid, wasn't it? Yeah. Ah, Fig Aqua. Concentrating on this spell, the caster can magically manipulate up to 10 liters of liquid and form it into complex shapes. Anytime the caster can choose to freeze the liquid and solidify its current shape, those in the caster can also choose to make the liquid instantaneously melt. Oh. I never expected you to... I know, but it's just too convenient not to have. She's really opened her mind about learning new spells. You remember when you first met her? Back then she only knew how to cast Mage Blade. She hated magic back then. You never imagined how diverse her repertoire would become. Another visitor? I'm already up, I'll check it. But whoever they are, I'm not giving up any more of my lotus tea. That's fair. You open the door and don't see anyone, but there's a letter in your mailbox. Oh. Owie. Owie, owie. Take a closer look at the envelope. It's sealed with candle wax. There's a crest on it. It's the insignia of House Pierce. You quickly open the letter and read it. Despite supposedly being written by a noble, the paper's been torn in half, but the message is clear. I hope you understand. I would have never contacted you unless I had no other choice. I know the truth behind my Core's true parentage, and I'm aware of how vital this information is to you. As you know, my execution is scheduled for next month, and I'm running out of time. I want to try this information with you. In exchange, you will grant me my freedom. How the hell am I going to get you? Nah, you already slated to be executed. I don't think I can do anything against that. Saying, meet me in the private prayer room within the Grand Cathedral of the Skate Lord at 2 p.m. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Sounds like a trap. You will save me from my fate or else. What? Eric Pierce sent you a letter, but the paper's torn in the middle. The contents read as such. Okay, well, I mean, I did read it just now. I'm not gonna read it again. If he thinks for a second that we even think of helping him. I know how you feel, but aren't these the answers you've been looking for? I don't care. We're not going to help him. There was never an option, but there's clearly more to this. I agree. How was he able to find out in the first place? Truth is, Celeste, I've also been looking into your parentage. What? Why didn't you say anything? I'm sorry, but I didn't want to raise your hopes. I was apparently right to do so. I couldn't find any information regarding your birth. So if you couldn't find anything, how was Pierce able to? Because Pierce is low on the political hierarchy, he doesn't have access to the resources I do. He has owned the land the McCoy Tavern is on. But frankly, this whole situation is quite suspect. Why would he ask for my help? I was the one who indicted him in the first place. Even if I did agree to help him, it would be nearly impossible for me to get him an acquittal. He must be desperate. His execution is scheduled for next month after all. It's possible that he reached out to Tamora as well. I don't think she would help him either, though. Still, I can't believe he set up a meeting at the Grand Cathedral today of all days. Oh, why? What's happening? What's happening there? Sorry, but it's not my place to tell you. Can I talk with Tyrion alone for a minute? Of course. I'm sure you have much to discuss. I actually also have business at the cathedral today. I can't believe he'd use that as an opportunity. I'll be taking a leave. I'm sorry, I'm sure this is just bringing up bad memories for you. We should meet with him. Huh? Wait! We're not going to help him, obviously, but I had an idea. I mean, we could try to get the information out of him and then just say, fuck you. Ow. Damn it. Also, I don't think it would be very easy to get someone who's already slated to be executed an acquittal, even if we were more powerful, more influential, especially because we're the one who proved that he was the murderer. We this. Sorry, 1 second. He's probably really scared of his execution, right? And he's desperate enough to ask you for your help. I suppose that's true. So think about how stressed he would be if you showed up and refused to help him. I could use the Eye of Horrors on him. We can get the info we need without having to give him anything. Are you really okay with this? You have to see him again.
Yeah, I'll manage. It'll be worth it if you can finally get the answers I'm looking for.
I already got no hopes up, but there's no guarantee that he actually knows the truth. He could just be bluffing to get you to help him. If he does know, you can't just ignore this. You need to verify his claims yourself.
Ooh!
More new artwork.
This is the Grand Cathedral of the Skate Lord.
Have you never been here before? I heard you spend a lot of time in Rathol. Rathol?
Church of Muhammad wasn't that popular in my hometown. I've never been a religious type.
What about you? It never really caught on with me. And apparently my roots are more celestial than draconic.
I guess that makes sense.
He certainly has the looks for it. Ooh! Your thoughts are leaking again.
Can you stop?
You can't exactly turn it off, you know. Do those mental exercises I thought you. Oh no! I mean, it's a good thing we finally told her about it, since we're working together and everything, but also...
Do those mental exercises I told you.
Stop yourself from thinking so hard. I can see those thoughts.
Now!
As you approach the Grand Cathedral, you see a large blockade guarded by legions of the King's Guard.
It's closed up. Is there some kind of event going on?
You called Steven mentioning that she was heading here as well. Ability must be using the cathedral grounds for something. The man explained why Piers wanted to meet you here. It's probably secluded from prying eyes today. Tyrion Cuthbert. As you approach the blockade, one of the knights notices you. He glances at you and Celeste. We've been expecting you. I see. You exchange glances with Celeste, but you both enter the cathedral grounds. Whoa! The main building is massive, yet mostly empty. You only see a few people within, and most of them are quite familiar. You spot Leaf and Miriam as you head further into the room. They both avoid eye contact with you, but it doesn't seem to be purely out of resentment. As soon as they see you, they move the conversation out. It's clear they still have mixed feelings about your convicted sister. In another corner of the room, you spot Lloyd von Sanctus speaking with another individual. She seems to be someone of equal social standing. That is a fucked up design. Who the hell are you? What happened to your hair? Why is it literally... Oh! Okay. You feel like you've seen her somewhere before, but you can't quite remember where. As soon as you enter the room, von Sanctus flashes a quick look of disdain at you. You see him slowly move his conversation out of the room as well. Ah yes, clearing the entire room, just like that. Nice. And finally, you see Lucius Steven speaking with his daughter, along with the two princes. You seem to be speaking with another individual that you haven't met before. When he notices you, his gaze narrows, and he stares at the two of you warily. Asta especially seems surprised to see you here. He and Lucy ask the prosecutor something, but you can't quite hear the conversation. When she responds, Asta raises his eyebrows and Lucius' expression darkens. What's going on here? Is this a little awkward? Yeah. We'll give some time before our meeting with Piers. You want to do some sightseeing? Oh, are you asking me out? We are literally already out. Sure, why not? Pick up this map from the entrance. We can use it to navigate through the area. Oh, thank you. Bye. Oh, that's what you were upset about. Okay, yeah. I mean... I guess. Why not? Maybe she's adopted. Or maybe he... Well, I wonder who the mother is, actually. Maybe the mother's just that much younger. Maybe not.
I'm also a little interested in what all these nobles are doing here.
It is strange. Perhaps someone can tell you more.
Maybe.
Maybe I can also look at the map properly. Oh, okay. Entrance! Garden, common, imperial, balcony, house, speaker's quarters. Okay. Here's Ariella there. We should go say hi. As you approach the group, the Garden General and the unnamed noble stare at the two of you. Hello. The nobleman looks at you and then at Celeste. He silently scans the two of you. It's as if he's trying to read something. He then walks away without a word. Rude. At this point, I'm kind of used to it. Mr. Cuthbert, Miss McCoy, I'm surprised to see you here. I thought you were the one who invited them. I'm sad to say that I didn't, although I am happy to see you two nonetheless. What brings you to the Grand Cathedral today? We were actually invited by another noble. We have a meeting with him. None of the people here allowed to invite guests. Why didn't the guards stop you? Oh, they said they were expecting us? It was Lord Pierce who invited them. Is Lord Pierce even invited to whatever is happening here tonight? Today? Pierce, that little... And to think I grant his request for temporary release. Sure he meant no disrespect by it. He probably had his reasons. How can you say that? This is a day of your... He stops himself mid-sentence and clears his throat. Make no mistake, even if he is a dead man, I will have words with him about this. Why, you guys getting married today of all places, and we are not even wearing anything special for it? None of you are wearing anything special. I have to ask, why are all of these nobles gathered here? You've taken over the entire Grand Cathedral. As you ask the question, everyone seems to tense up. Prosecutor awkwardly looks at the two princes. Prince Elric avoids eye contact with everyone and just stares at the ground. I'm sorry, but I'm not at liberty to tell you that. It's a matter of public safety. Okay, so it's not a wedding. I see. It's a little strange, but you can read the room. Crying isn't the best thing to do right now. Okay. You said that Lord Peace invited you here. For what reason? I can't really tell you that. You will tell us if it poses a threat to the nobles in attendance. Please, Lord Stewart, there's no need for that. Mr. Cuthbert would never do anything to put anyone's life in danger. Heh, not on purpose. As you wish, Your Majesty. Is this the reason why Pierce asked for temporary release? Interesting. So Pierce was temporarily released to attend whatever this is. Could have met you with you in his cell, but perhaps he wanted to be away from prying eyes. Lady Stewart, Your Majesty, the High Speaker is ready to speak with you. Oh, wonderful. I've been looking forward to this all day. Shall we go together, Miss Stewart? Yes, Your Majesty, she would like to accompany you. Wonderful. We shouldn't keep him waiting. Okay. Scared Lord, how does she plan to marry him if she can't even speak properly in his presence? Honestly. I also have something important to do. Good day to you, Commoners. He's going towards the washrooms. I will be taking my leave as well, but make no mistake. My man will be keeping an eye on you two. Everyone has left the room now. Perhaps you should move somewhere else. Of course. Not like we have much of a choice. Or where to go? Ugh! What are you doing here? Did you follow us? Not intentionally. Trust me, you're the last person we wanted to see today. Hush now, Von Sanctus. If they're here by chance, it is because the cosmic balance wills itself. Oh god, no, please. Not this again. Sorry, I don't think we've met. I'm Caroline Sybil, Lady of the House of Sybil. Oh! Hi! So this is the head of the Fourth Pillar family. She's not quite what you were expecting. Between her, Lucio, Lloyd, and William, she definitely seems the most agreeable. She also seems the youngest, but who knows? But by the words, you've got to know the other Pillar families decently well. It might benefit you to learn more about her. Sure. So you're the leader of House Sybil. What does your family do exactly? How are you this ignorant? 38! Okay. Epic magical exit journey, hell yeah! Hi! Each of the four pillars, as your commoners call them, control different branches of the kingdom's government. House Stewart oversees national defense and law enforcement. House Frigga oversees economic development and finances. House Von Sanctus handles commerce, both local and international. And finally, there's House Sybil. We handle the kingdom's legislative and judicial branches. Ah. Yes, the two words I can never say correctly. Thank you. Appreciate it. That would also mean you're responsible for our kingdom's justice system. That is correct. Oh, wonderful, here we go. Tell me more about that. Lady Sybil, are you aware of the rampant corruption happening within your justice system? I suppose it's only inevitable that you'd see it that way. Am I wrong? I've been involved in plenty of court cases and it's very obvious. All your courts care about is closing cases as quickly as possible. The system is corrupt to its core. The courts don't even try to hide it half of the time.
Yet you've rebelled against the so-called corruption in each and every one of your cases.
Only against every conceivable odd, and it can't be everywhere. Do you have any idea how many commoners are falsely convicted every day?
If they're convicted under my system, it's only because the cosmic balance deems it so.
I don't like her. I've met this woman for not even a total of 5 minutes and I already don't like her. What are you even talking about?
Cosmic balance is the natural order of things, and the guilty are punished while the innocent are protected.
And yet, when a noble commits a crime, they only need to waive their influence to escape any consequences. Thank you for the pet! All while the victims are forced to suffer in silence. Or worse, an innocent commoners framed for a crime.
Regardless of your personal feelings, our kingdom needs the nobility to govern the people. If they were held to the same standards as commoners, our society would surely collapse.
You take back what you said about her being the most agreeable of the four pillars? Didn't last long. Do you think nobles like Piers and Fonsancta should just be allowed to get away with murder? Are you still sore about that? I'm sure you realize it by now. I've more than paid for what happened with Jason 1.
His name was Justin Way.
If you're truly paying for your crimes, you would be in prison right now.
Fonsancta's made a mistake, but removing him from his position would only create more suffering. Our government is barely recovering from the death of William Frege. I think God can suffer the loss of another house leader this close to that.
The way I see it, I think you nobles overstate your importance in our lives. We'd probably be fine without you. And I suppose you commoners are capable of coordinating macroeconomic initiatives? Oh, and I suppose you're also capable of engineering in diplomacy with the other nations? Engaging. Face it, as much as you're loath to admit it, ours is a symbiotic relationship.
More like a parasitic relationship.
So what? The common folk should just continue to suffer for the good of our nation? Lady Sybil, the people of the kingdom you claim to be protecting are suffering because of your inaction.
My inaction? You place the blame on me, but what have you done? You were once a champion of your so-called justice, but you stopped your work as a defense attorney. How many lives could you have saved in a month that you spent on vacation?
Hey.
It's not his responsibility to solve your mess. You've no idea how much he suffered trying to do the right thing. It's a mess. Perhaps you're right. He shouldn't bear that kind of responsibility alone. But every commoner has the ability to learn and practice law as you do, Mr. Cuthbert. So why are you one of the few commoners that do so? From what I've heard, you're one of the few people who defend mages of the common folk. Every other attorney wouldn't even consider taking them as clients.
Perhaps the problem lies in the common folk then. Ah, yes! Of course!
They're fully capable of rising to defend the so-called innocent, yet they do nothing.
Never mind. This was clearly a mistake. Let's go, Celeste.
Yeah.
Finally, thank the Scaled Lord.
Ah, haha! So why is no one standing up against the corruption?
Clearly because you guys made it so? Jesus Christ.
You okay?
Yeah, I guess I should have expected that. Never expected someone with so much power to be so out of touch with reality.
Come on, let's go somewhere else. We still have time before the meeting.
You think someone will wind up dead before the meeting? You find yourself in the Grand Cathedral's garden and stumble upon a strange statue.
Wow, that's a little out of place.
What even is it? If my memory is correct, it's a Pegasus.
Hello, friends.
As you inspect a contemporary piece of artwork, you're startled by a familiar voice. And it looks like she's not alone either. Along with Iris, she seems to be accompanied by both of her sisters. Beatrice, aren't you supposed to be... dead? Sorry, I wasn't trying to say...
No, that's perfectly understandable.
You of all people know what was on my blood contract. The Peace Lady of Discord isn't going to kill me just yet. That didn't seem like too much of a difference before it glitched, but I cannot tell.
Do you really have to do that? What? Never mind.
Right. I feel like a little awkward speaking to the Frege sisters after everything that's happened. But they don't seem hostile, and all things considered, you prefer the company over Sybil's. Although you're still not sure how you feel about speaking with a murderer, especially one that you indicted. But Beatrice clearly knows more about demons and their kind than you do. I wonder if she knows anything about the Heavensborn. So, you seem to be doing well, all things considered? You mean how a demon now has ownership of my soul? Yeah, that.
How can you be so calm about this? I must agree with Miriam, it's a little unnerving how nonchalantly you're treating this.
I suppose it's the knowledge that everything is out of my hands now. Something peaceful about it.
It's certainly a positive way to look at it.
You know, my offer still stands. I can try to help you. At the risk of your own life. Hey, which part of the contract would you dispute anyways? You recall reading a blood contract in the courtroom that day. There was very little room for interpretation. It was airtight. The demon I signed the contract with was very meticulous about the details. I spent the last 5 years looking for any possible loopholes, but I didn't find anything substantial I could use. I don't even think disputing it is possible. I'm sorry. Don't be. You defeated me. I won't suffer your pity. Well, I feel like we always end up randomly meeting like this, Ares. What brings you here?
I requested to accompany Beatrice to this event. After all, I don't have many opportunities to enter a church like this.
I can imagine. By the way, is your father still...
You're worried about him. We've already had a conversation about you. I don't think he'll be accosting you anytime soon.
Oh, thank you.
That seems too good to be true. How do you pull something like that off? He may look like a hardened criminal, but he's always had a soft spot for his family. He also owed me, and I have a way of making people see things my way.
She's right about that. Wait, if you're here, does that mean Marina has also... Heavens no, there's no way to let me bring him here of all places. I left him at the entrance of the King's Guard. He tries to escape that night over there is ordered to kill me. That's the night that's silently watching the sisters from afar. You're surprisingly calm about this. Please, I regularly deal with demons. This is nothing in comparison to that. You really haven't changed. I suppose not. Doesn't matter you can... doesn't mean you can see right now. How do you know which statue I was looking at? That's a lucky guess. The grotesque statue certainly makes an impression on you. Oh, Marina just spoke with me. He wanted me to let you know that he can smell your celestial stink from the entrance. Love you too, Marina. Oh, wow. I probably shouldn't repeat this response to that. His response to that. No, maybe not. By the way, you seem to know a lot more about these things than I do. What exactly is a Heavensborn? Did you seriously not know? You know how to issue a divine dig. That's a very advanced technique. It sort of came to me in the moment. What? Anyways, I'm quite surprised you don't know about your lineage. Perhaps my mother knew, but I lost her when I was really young. I see. You have my condolences. But to answer your question, a Heavensborn is a human whose bloodline has been touched by the gods. Gods? You mean like the Scaled Lord? No, speaking of the actual gods.
Beatrice, you can't say that here.
Oh, come of it. What's the church going to do? Arrest me? Anyways, your blood has been touched by the celestials of the upper planes. Much like my soul is bound to the abyssal hells, your soul is consecrated and tied to the heavens. The heavens? Is that why you're able to use the Air Force? Is this a kind of angelic power? Make no mistake though, if you find yourself under the wrong circumstances, even you can be sent to hell. Oh, gee, thanks. The Church of Bahamut is prominent in Vibanga, but this is the first time I've heard of the celestial gods. Makes sense. That's probably because of Vibangat's bloody history with the theocracy of Lumina. The theocracy? On the nation northeast of us? Yes. The Luminites worship the celestial gods, while our people worship the ancient dragons. A few decades ago, our nation was locked in a bitter war with the Luminites. Even now, the Crown sees the celestial religions as a possible threat to our draconic culture. The
church has done its best to wipe out any religions that worship the Celestials.
I see.
But if your bloodline is blessed by the Celestials, does that mean that our kids will also be heavens born?
Huh? So, I think my mother's also... What did you just say?
Your kids! I asked if your kids will be heavens born.
Huh? Huh? No, I don't think that's quite what you said. Oh, I must have misheard you then. Wow. If only you were always this easy to lie to. Anyways, I'm a little curious about the theocracy of Luminon. If they worship Celestials there, would I find other Heavensborn there? Heavensborn aren't that common there either. Frankly, I'm surprised there's even one Heavensborn living in Ravengard. Where did your bloodline even find its way here? I suppose I don't really know. My mother never told me much about our ancestry.
That makes sense. If the Church of Bahamut knew what you were, they would have definitely hunted you down.
Right. Last thing you need is another faction that wants to kill you.
Anyways, travel into and out of Ravengard is technically illegal, and I doubt Lord Steven will make an exception for you. He is an old veteran of the Great Luminite War.
Veteran? Vet? Oh no.
I hate the vet. I'm not going. You never take me alive.
This fucking dog, dude. Your watch as Tracker frantically runs through the garden, barking loudly. Leaf chases after him as he runs towards someone. I should probably go help her. It's almost 2 p.m. anyways. We should head to the prayer room. Thank you for answering my questions, Beatrice. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you with your situation. Of course. Let's go, Celeste.
Right.
She's thinking about kids! God damn. Try not to look so down. It's almost time for the main event. Why did you bring me here? Who knows? Whatever you're planning to make me do, please. Please don't make me harm my sisters. You're in no position to make demands. You just have to see for yourself. Stay safe, Mr. Cuthbert. I don't think I have much of a choice. Are you ready?
Yeah. At least I hope so.
If it becomes too much for you, don't hesitate to leave. Why are neither of you considering that this is a trap of some kind? Like, oh yes, meet me in the secluded room while there's a, you know, an event happening elsewhere in the same place. Ah! I only need a few moments to look into his mind.
No, I'm the one who asked you to do this, and I'm not going to leave you alone with him.
Okay, if that's what you want.
Tyrion.
Yeah?
Thank you for doing this. It really means a lot to me.
Of course. This will finally give you the answers you've been looking for.
It's not just that. You've done so much for me since I met you. You've got me acquitted. You helped me walk through my grief for my dad. It feels like I can never repay that.
What are you talking about? For the past few months, all I've been doing is relying on you. I genuinely don't know what I'd do if you weren't a part of my life.
I should tell her.
Tell me what?
Ah, get out of my head!
You're really bad at guarding your mind. You know you can tell me anything, right? Oh! Anya!
How long have you been standing there?
Well, I knew you'd be here around this time. I wanted to wish you luck. But then you two seemed to be in the middle of something. I didn't want to interrupt. Well, congratulations, you just did.
Don't step on my account. I'll just get out of your way.
As she awkwardly skitters away, you see something fall out of her pocket.
Aria, you dropped your runestone.
As she picks up the runestone, she accidentally activates it. An image of a piece of evidence appears for a brief moment, but she quickly hides it. But not before Celeste sneaks a peek at it. I see. Celeste, don't just invade her privacy like that.
Don't be like that. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. Good luck. A part of you really wants to know what she saw, but one of you has to exercise some self-restraint. Anyway, let's go meet with him.
Yeah, let's do this.
I could tell him after, and that was the last time.
You have spoke to each other,
Finally arrived.
I don't think.
Suppose this means you finally decided. Wait, you too? We got your letter. Letter? What letter? You sent us a letter, Pierce? It said that you knew who Celeste's parents were. I did send a letter, but not to you two. What? I don't like this. And so the final act begins. I've been waiting for this. What the hell are you doing? Have you gone mad? What are you doing? Stop! Oh. Lady Steelwind, what are you? Is this also the will of the cosmic balance? Eh? Yes, Piers was the villain of the first case. Come on, just tell us the truth, Piers. You are the last person I would give this information to. It's getting more and more stressed. Just a little more and you'll... To interrogate him, you suddenly hear a loud crash outside the room. What was that? I'm going to take a look and see what's going on. What? Are you just going to leave us here? He's right. We don't know what's going on. We should stay together. Don't worry. There were 2 guards outside and they're from the King's Guard. You'll be fine. Don't... No, don't leave me. That's not what I'm worried about. But I'll trust your judgment. What? He has special leave for a limited time, apparently. Yeah. He is on row for like to be executed in a month, but right now he's on some kind of special leave for whatever reason. It's been almost 10 minutes since Celeste went to investigate the noise. He seems extremely on edge. He's sitting at one of the tables and impatiently tapping its surface with his finger. So, you never intended to send a letter to me? Who did you send it to then? Huh, as if I would ever tell you that. Luckily for you, he should have accumulated enough stress by now. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Even if I wasn't the intended recipient, you said that you knew who Celeste's biological parents were. Who are they? Are you seriously focused on that now? It's far too important. It's my only bargaining chip. Answer the question, Piers. What was that? Somnia. What is this? A blue luminous vapor enters the room. As soon as it makes contact with you, you suddenly feel extremely fatigued. Damn it, it's a sleep spell! Caster conjures a magical mist in the direction that they stretch their palm. This magical mist will travel up to 30 feet before dissipating. Any creature who inhales the mist will fall into a magical slumber. In effect, the creature will be woken from the slumber if they're violently shaken or experience any sort of pain. I miscalculated. Did I hear that means Celeste? You try your hardest to stay conscious, but the spell is too powerful. You feel your body slowly dropping to the ground. Oh. Beatrice. You saw Beatrice figure as you were losing consciousness. You only saw her for a brief moment, so it could have been an illusion. Regardless, that means that she somehow entered the prayer room at 2:30 p.m. Yeah, and he's not that smart. Tyrion! What? Celeste? Tyrion, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have never left you alone with him. It's okay. Tears were streaming down her eyes. She was clearly worried about you. You try your best to comfort her as you look around the room. What happened? How long were you knocked out? As you look around, you see several other people with you. Commander White is leading a group of knights. They all have their weapons drawn and pointed at someone. Executor Steelwind. Commander, I understand your position, but there has to be another explanation. Look, Your Majesty, I get where you're coming from, but from what the witnesses have told us, it has to be a case of mage blood. You look around the room and see a pool of blood at the end of one of the tables. Celeste, where's Piers? Tyrion... I don't know how to tell you this, kid, but Gary Piers is dead. What? We're honestly surprised that you're okay. But who? You look at the knights who all have their weapons pointed at the prosecutor. Wait a minute. You think Steelwind did this? It wasn't just Lord Piers, Mr. Cuthbert. We also found the bodies of Lord Von Sanctus and Lady Sybil. Not to mention a bunch of the King's Guard have gone comatose. Comatose? I don't want to believe it, but several people saw Steelwind acting off at the scenes of each of the murders.
He also found her unconscious here, and Pierce's body was lying next to her. No, it wasn't her. I saw Beatrice before I passed out. She was the one that knocked us out. Beatrice? What the hell is going on? Commander White, you need to put me in a holding cell. It needs to be one with an anti-magic field. What? I'm a danger to everyone here. We need to go now. What are you talking about? Now is not the time. Do it, Commander. Right. Huh? You watch this Inquisition arrest Steven and escort her out of the room. Damn it. What happened? I know you have many questions, Mr. Cuthbert, but we should make sure that you're okay. Yeah, there's a necromancer and a knave. You have a point. You have no idea what happened while you were asleep. You followed a suggestion, but not before making a note of the current time. It's 3:12 p.m. It's not even been a full hour. Okay. Hi, hello. Nothing seems out of the ordinary except... What? What's wrong with him? You would just let me finish. There appears to be a trace of necromancy on you, Mr. Cuthbert. Necromancy? It's probably nothing. Did your assistant cast any spells on you? Oh, right. I used healing magic on him when I found him unconscious. Expected as much, but it never hurts to make sure. Anyways, nothing seems out of the ordinary. You're quite healthy. You should be fine to go about your business, but please speak with me again if you experience anything out of the ordinary. Thank you, I'm Lord Lazaric Asclepius of House I cannot pronounce this one. Lazaric Asclepius. There are no thanks needed. My apprentice apparently owes you a lot. Apprentice? Wallace Nightbreak. I believe he was one of your clients a few months ago. Right. Steerwind did mention that she introduced you to. Speaking of Steerwind, I really find it hard to believe that she did this. Mr. Cuthbert, Mage Blind isn't exactly a benign condition. When it takes hold of a mage, it doesn't matter what kind of person they are. Violent behavior is almost always a result of the delirium it puts them in. It's unfortunate, but mages have to be held responsible when cases like this happen. Unless someone is framing her. Asclepius. Harmless and beneficial to the body. Tyrion, I fought her. What? Do you remember back when you heard that weird sound? I went outside to see what was going on. I saw her outside and the guards that were all unconscious. I tried to ask her what was going on, but she didn't say anything. She just attacked me. What was her emotional state like? Oh, well, she was pretty cold and emotionless. It almost looked like she was sleepwalking. That's actually pretty strange. What do you mean? When someone is affected by mage blight, they enter a state of extreme psychosis. Psychotic episodes like that raise the affected mage's paranoia to ridiculous levels. That's why these cases almost always end up in violence. If she was affected by mage blight, she shouldn't have looked anywhere near as calm as you're describing. You might be onto something, Mr. Cuthbert. What you're saying is true, there has to be more to this. You're planning to defend her, aren't you? At the very least, we need to find out what actually happened. I feel like there's more to this than we're saying. But you saw her, right? Yeah. She wanted them to arrest her. Right, it's as if she thought she was a danger to others. Regardless of what really happened, she clearly believes that she was responsible for this. There's no way that she'd do something like this. Something else is happening here, and you will get to the bottom of this. You're not sure where each of the murders occurred, but the Inquisition should be able to tell you more about that. You also need to speak with Steerwind. If she really was affected by mage blight, she should be able to remember what may have caused it. But anyways, the prayer room is the ha! Damn it, I don't actually know what button that is on where I accidentally started the auto advance. Anyways, the prayer room is the room you're most familiar with. You probably want to start there. Okay. Let's talk to you first. There's still so many unknowns. We should continue looking for more clues. Don't push yourself too hard, okay? If you feel tired, don't be embarrassed to take a break. Yeah, I'll try not to exert myself too much. To be fair though, we did sleep, so I'm assuming we're at least somewhat rested. Maybe. You arrive at the prayer room. It's now swarming with knights from the Inquisition. You find yourself staring at the chalk outline of where Pierce's body once was. You can't help but feel a little uneasy. You've been to plenty of crime scenes before, but even if you were unconscious, you were here when the murder happened. It's a little unnerving knowing how close you came to death. Are you okay? Yeah. But now's not the time for an existential crisis. Steven's future counts on you figuring out what happened. You still don't know what happened after you fell unconscious. The Inquisition believes that Steven broke into this room, knocked you and Pierce out, and then killed him. But you remembered clearly, you saw Beatrice before you lost consciousness. There's more at play here than you realize. Celeste also fought Steven after Beatrice knocked you out. Perhaps she can tell you more about how she was acting. I mean, to be fair, Beatrice is a very, very strong mage. She could have definitely disguised herself as someone else. I think. In my humble opinion. Let's review what happened. Before Beatrice knocked me out, we heard a commotion outside and you went to investigate. Can you tell me more about your fight with Steven? What was she like? Well, she wasn't her usual self. It's like she was in some kind of daze. I noticed it even before she attacked me. Something was wrong with her. Oh yeah, and she didn't even respond to me when I tried to talk to her. It's like she didn't even recognize me. But from what Lord Asclepius said, she would have been acting more erratically if she was affected by mage blood. It's possible that you fought someone disguised as her. Yes, that's possible, but whoever they were, the magic was still extremely powerful. And several members of the Four Pillar families were assembled here. It could have been one of them. We should speak with Commander White when we get a chance. Grand Cathedral was closed from the public for whatever was happening here. They probably have a list of everyone who was present when the murders happened. This means that whoever did this was one of the nobles that was here today. Everything seemed to happen in less time than a disguise's maximum time. She seemed to have been in many places at once, I feel like. But we'll probably need to find some more actual time frames. Beatrice can cast invisibility so that she'd let you see her, but did you see her at any point when you were fighting Steven? Celeste? Sorry, I don't know. I was too focused on staying alive. I've actually been meaning to ask you about that. Aren't you really strong? I've never even seen you break a sweat in a fight before. Well, she was really tough. It was terrifying, honestly. It was mainly her magic. I've never fought someone with spells so powerful before. She didn't hurt you, did she? No, but it got pretty close. I think she realized that she couldn't beat me, so she just ran past me and into the prayer room. So her real target was Pierce. Why? Did you see the moment she murdered Pierce? No, when I arrived at the prayer room, I saw you and Steven unconscious on the ground. And Pierce was already dead. And I'm assuming you didn't see Beatrice anywhere? No, she wasn't there when I arrived. How did she leave the prayer room without Celeste noticing? Did she turn herself invisible? During the afternoon of the murder, Celeste McCoy heard a suspicious sound and investigated the hallway leading to the prayer room. There she saw Arya and Steven fighting the guards. Arya didn't respond to Celeste's questions and attacked her as well. The two fought to a standstill when Arya pushed past her. When Celeste arrived at the prayer room, she found Tyrion and Arya unconscious, and Pierce was already dead. She didn't see Beatrice rig at any point during the altercation. Okay. We showed up at the prayer room for the meeting at 1:50. Then we interrogated Pierce for about half an hour. That's when we heard the commotion outside and you went to investigate it. Right. And I think Beatrice knocked me and Pierce out 10 minutes after that. How long did you fight Steven before she pushed past you? Definitely fought for a while. It must have been at least 20 minutes. After that, she gave up on fighting me and went into the prayer room. Which means that Beatrice somehow got into the room during your fight. That discounts my theory for disguising herself as Steven. You gained consciousness at 3:12. That means that you were knocked out for more than 40 minutes. Still a lot of unknowns about what happened. You need all the pieces if you want to put this puzzle together. Oh, that's a lot of magic everywhere. A trace of conjuration magic all over the room. That must have been left by Beatrice's sleep spell. Okay. There's a trace of transmutation here. It's all over the area around his body. Interesting. Did the murderer wound him using a transmutation spell? Okay, and what about this? There's a trace of necromancy in the ground here. It's probably from when I tried to heal you. Okay. Anything else? The chalk outline where Pierce's body probably was. It looks like he was sitting against his altar when he died. And the bloodstain seems to imply that the fatal wound came from his chest. An autopsy report would really be helpful here.
You should ask the commander for a copy of it the next time you see him. This is the last case, yes. Hi, good evening. Anything else? The 3 stained glass windows, they look quite nice. They do. Lanterns hanging around the room, they're still lit. Okay. Looks like you found everything you can here. You should move and take a closer look at the other crime scenes. Ooh, okay. Oh my god! What happened here? You retrace your footsteps and find the common room. This was the last place you saw from Sanctus and Sybil before everything happened. You look around and see that most of the room has been entirely scorched. You can still smell the scent of burnt cloth and flesh in the air. What happened here? Is there some kind of fire? Yeah, we think the perp lit a fire using magic. As you enter the room, Commander White approaches you. He seems to be accompanied by the typical legion of knights. Commander White? Naked. Investigating what happened to? Something like that. We just want to figure out what really happened. You and me both. Nothing about this case makes any damn sense. I'll be honest, I could really use your help in trying to figure this out. Honestly, you're not sure who you can trust at this point, but the commander is leading the investigation, and he's bound to have information that will be useful to you.
Hey, listen! Thank you for the pad now your time.
Okay, so what happened? This whole situation's a damned mess. Has the Inquisition found any clues to explain what happened? We only have the basic stuff so far. We've only just received the autopsy reports. It's still pretty useful. Do you have copies of them? Sure. Knock yourselves out. It's so nice that people just give us stuff easily and readily, and not just like, oh no, you are the defense. We cannot give you anything. Okay, died at 2:45 in the prayer room. Cause of death was blood loss. A shot of frozen liquid was found stabbed through his heart. It is very likely that this was the murder weapon. One also shows heavy traces of transmutation magic and traces of conjuration magic were found throughout the room. Is everyone just gonna have a cause of death that's similar to the cases that were involved in before? No. Died at 2:18. Cause of death was suffocation. Her body was found floating in a nearby lake outside of the Grand Cathedral. Traces of transmutation, evocation, and necromancy magic were found in the body. Died at 2:05. Cause of death was suffocation. Fire in a common room burned the body too much to discern any specific wounds he might have suffered. However, a small trace of evocation magic and a burn mark were found on the victim's left shoulder. This implies the body was hit with a fire-based evocation spell. Traces of abjuration magic were found on and around the body. Wait, Pierce was killed with a frozen blade? Isn't that similar to how he killed Flintheart? Sorry, I didn't mean to... No, it's okay. It's still strange though. Why would the murderer kill Pierce using such a convoluted method? If Steven really was affected by Mageblight, she wouldn't have done something like that. Yeah, right? Considering that the system is this corrupt, it's like, oh yeah. Inquisition found a frozen blade impaling Gary Pierce through his stomach. There were traces of transmutation on his blood. This implies that the murderer used shape liquid to create this blade and murder him, which is oddly similar to how Pierce murdered Flintheart McCoy. But why would the murderer do this when it clearly had more lethal spells at their disposal? Pierce used this method during Flintheart's murder to leave as little evidence as possible. However, it's clear the murderer wanted to frame Arya and leave as much evidence as possible. Anyways, the times of death also seem to tell a story. If you look at the reports, the murderer must have killed von Sanctus, then Sybil, then Pierce in that order. Yeah, that's our working theory too. If you look at this map, you can see where the prayer room and the common room are. Lady Sybil's body was found in a lake west of here, but since the Grand Cathedral was built on a cliff, there isn't an easy way to get there in such a short amount of time. That raises my next question. How did Sybil's body end up in the lake? The murderer threw Sybil from the balcony. The Grand Cathedral was built on a cliff over the lake, and the westward balcony just happens to be right over it. I guess that makes sense. We've never witnessed who saw Steven there. Really? Who was it? It was the High Speaker Theonarchus. High Speaker? He's a shot call of the Church of Bahamut, and he stands at the top of the religious hierarchy from what I hear. He spotted Steven near the west balcony and noticed that she was acting suspiciously. He
called out to her, but she ignored him. So she knew that he saw her, but she didn't attack him. Yeah, he really lucked out. But if she was having a psychotic episode, he would have noticed that. From what you said, all she did was ignore him. You're right. This whole mate rate story doesn't really add up. So hi, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Hire the right people to make your job harder. Like, we've worked together on pretty much every single case so far, even if I was the opposition. But since last time I was on, especially last time I was on the prosecution side, they're just like, oh yeah, whatever. Otherwise, we just have to talk to them directly to find out more. Putting that aside, there's something else that's strange. What's that? It's about the order that the murders occurred in. What's strange about the order of the murders? The murderer killed Von Sanctus, Sybil, and Pierce in that order. This means that the murderer went to the common room, then the west balcony, and then finally the prayer room. But if you look at the map, the murderer's route seems a bit strange. It should... wait, the murderer could have killed Pierce. Second. Because... Why would you go here first and then here? Hi, good evening! The murderer also passed right by the prayer room before they dumped Sybil's body. Why wouldn't they just murder Pierce on the way there? Maybe they wanted to dump Sybil's body first. Were they afraid of fighting me? We are absolutely not finishing the game today. We just got started with this last chapter. And this one is long. Long. Like longer than the last one, and the last one already took me 2 streams, so... You're giving yourself a little too much credit. No, she has a point. Out of everyone who fought the murderer, Celeste was the only one who didn't die or fall comatose. Anyways, there has to be a reason why the murderer deliberately chose that road. Well, Mel finished the game earlier today, but she said it took her, like, as long as it takes me for one of these streams, and that's without reading everything out loud, so I don't think we're finishing. I think we're gonna need at least 2 streams, for sure. Judging from each time of death, the murderer went from the common room to the balcony and then to the prayer room, in that order. But that wasn't the most direct route, there has to be an explanation for that. A very long day, yes. Okay, you've created a rough outline of the murderer's actions, but the real clues will lie in how each of the individual murders occurred. And that starts with figuring out how Von Sanctus was murdered. Yo, okay. How did the Inquisition find out about the murders anyways? Did a witness come across the bodies? It all started when Prince Alaric ran up to us. He told us that he saw a fire breaking out in the common room. He also saw Steven there, but when he tried to talk to her, she hit him with some kind of spell. She attacked one of the princes? Yeah, but it didn't look like she hurt him. The guy from House Asclepius. I hate it! I'm gonna call it House A, I don't care. Inspected him, he told us he wasn't injured. I know that he's okay, but wouldn't Arya have used a more violent spell when she was being affected by Mage Blight? It's possible she was throwing spells randomly, he just happened to get really lucky. I suppose that's possible. Was there anyone else nearby when this happened? I would have expected a Prince of Ivan got to be on a constant guard. Yeah, that was kind of my mistake. Ordered the knights to give him some space considering what just happened. And that would be? Sorry kid, if you don't know, it's not my place to tell you. I have orders from the top to stay quiet about that. Then it looks like you need to ask someone higher up. It's so strange though. Why were all these nobles gathered here? Anyways, whatever the perp hit him with, it only put him in a daze. He could barely walk or talk, he couldn't even approach us until the spell had worn off. And the weirdest about it all is that he was pretty close to where we were. But for some reason we didn't find him until after the spell wore off. This has been traumatic, I hope he's okay. But why didn't anyone see him during this time? After he told us about what was happening, we went to put out the fires. That's when we saw a bunch of guards knocked out outside the prayer room. Did you see me? No, this all happened around 3:10. Right, that was probably well after Steven moved into the prayer room. Glass must have already followed her into it. The Inquisition discovered something was wrong when Alaric the Wyvern God reported that a fire had broken out in a common room. He also told them that Arya Stewen cast a spell on him earlier that severely debilitated his senses. When the Inquisition arrived at the scene, they spotted the unconscious guards outside the prayer room. They did not see Celeste McCoy and Arya Stewen. This all happened at 3:10 p.m. Oh, that's gonna be fun. We're making a note every time of who was seen when and who wasn't seen when. Oh god. He's kind of watching the stream too. Aww. Give me a pat from me, please. Comatose guards. When you arrested Steven, I recall you mentioning that a bunch of guards were comatose. Did the murderer use some kind of spell to knock them out? I don't think so. I'm just as lost as you are about that. Some of the victims didn't have any magical traces on them, so we know that they're not under the effects of a spell, but they still haven't woken up. It's odd to say the least. Is there any common thread between the knights who fell comatose? It might help us deduce what happened to them. Well, we found all of them at the locations where Steven was spotted. That can't be a coincidence. But he just admitted that they weren't being affected by any kind of spell. What's going on here? Several nights when the King's Guard were found unconscious after their bodies were found, they've been unresponsive since the massacre, and due to a lack of magical traces, they're clearly not being affected by any kind of arcane spell. Maybe they're being affected by some kind of draconic spell. Maybe they got their souls stolen. Amanda White, you keep saying the perp instead of Steven, even though everyone else seems to think she was responsible for this. Do you also suspect that she's being framed? It just doesn't add up. If she did give herself mage blight, her actions wouldn't have been so deliberate. But she's definitely not the type of person to just go around murdering people. Even if she was, she's led a lot of the Inquisition's investigations recently. She's investigated plenty of homicides with us, and she knows exactly how we do things. Whoever did this got a job done, but they were sloppy about it. A bunch of witnesses saw her, and she didn't even try to hide herself using her magic. So either she had mage blight, which doesn't match with her behavior, or she did this intentionally and wanted to get caught. Neither scenario makes any damn sense. Someone has to be framing her. That's the only reasonable explanation. Honestly, I'm not so sure about that either. What do you mean? You saw her when we arrested her, didn't you? She wanted us to lock her up. It's like she thought she was a danger to herself and others. Right, that's the same impression I got as well. If it weren't for the witnesses' statements, I'd be sure she gave herself mage blight. The strangest thing is that I've never seen her that scared before. Something really rattled her about what had happened. Welcome back! Did you follow up on what I said about Beatrice? I know she was in a ruined piece and I fell unconscious. She has to be involved in this somehow. Well, she's already in prison, so we already had on that account. But when we asked what happened, she said that she couldn't remember anything. That's such an obvious lie. She has to be hiding something. Normally, I'd agree with you, but she's not the only one with missing memories. Steven also can't remember anything. What? Looks like you have to speak with her about that. Anyways, what about Ares and the knight who was guarding her? Did they see anything? No one's seen it. No one who would be of any use has seen anything, and the people who might have seen something are all missing their memories. Huzzah! Sorry, kid, but Ares I hate her last name. It is. Has been missing since everything went down. What? Do you have any idea what happened to her? No, but I wouldn't be too worried. A witness to the crime is missing and possibly hurt. Look, kid, you may be a hotshot attorney, but I've been in this business a lot longer than you have. Sometimes when these things happen to civilians, they get spooked and run away. I've seen it a million times. You feel like he's not making as big a deal of this as he should be, but he might have a point. It is the daughter of a crime lord after all. Technically our mom. Thought that was before the start of the game, but it has been mentioned. Also, the recently introduced leader of one of the Pillar families, so we're gonna check out her spot in a while. She might have gone into hiding to avoid having to speak with law enforcement. We don't have the resources to look for her, but I'm sure she'll turn up eventually. Yeah, as the final boss! Suppose we can't do anything about that now. But I still hope she's okay. Anyways, what about the knight guarding Beatrice? Surely he didn't go missing as well.
That's the thing. The knight who was supposed to be watching her is one of the people who went comatose. We found him in front of the prayer room too. Damn it! What happened to him? To make matters worse, I figured Shig knows how to cast invisibility. So even if she was telling the truth, very few people would have actually seen her. My god was in front of the prayer room. She must have brought him there somehow. A knight was assigned to guard Beatrice and kill her if Marinette attempted to escape. She was later found comatose in front of the prayer room. Iris Ilmette, who was also with Beatrice when she disappeared, has been missing since the massacre. Would you happen to have a recent version of a spell compendium? Sure, we already have it on record. Thank you! Oh yeah, Familiar Bond, we know this one. Mend Wounds. We know this one. We know this one. Animate aha, we know this one. Necrotic blood, yes. This one is new. Channels the caster's magic into any physical object they are touching with their hands. If enough magic is channeled, the object may shatter or break. Intensity of the spell will exponentially increase while they're concentrating. By bludgeoning, larger quantities of magic will slowly drain a caster's stamina and possibly cause mage damage. Invisibility. Feign death. Caster must target a creature that's already unconscious. While they're concentrating on a spell, the target will appear to be dead. The target creature will stop breathing and the heart will stop beating. However, the life energies of the spell will keep them alive for the duration. Ooh. Illusion Disguise. Oh my god, that's a lot of them. They were like, here's every single fucking spell we put in this game. Enjoy. Almost. Yes. Though, to be fair, no one really was sad about the loss of Miss Catherine Bellwether. But how many spells she used during Lord Frigga's murder? I know it's not all of them, but it feels like it a little bit, you know? It's like, wow, that's a lot of them. It's all a little difficult to take in. I still can't believe it. After everything he did, Von Sanctus was just murdered. I'm surprised to hear that from you. Didn't he basically get away with nothing just in way? The way I see it, he got what he deserved. It still doesn't sit right with me. No matter who the victims might have been, no one deserves to die like that. You're definitely a bigger man than I am. Anyways, Von Sanctus' autopsy report says that he died of suffocation. I think the murderer overpowered him and cooked him with a rope or something. Choked him! Cooked. Yo, the guy got cooked. That hardly sounds like something someone would do during a psychotic episode. Yeah, the more info I get, the more I think you might be onto something. Either way, the fire that the perp started in this room burned his body. It didn't completely turn it to ash, but it was still pretty charred. So the fire would have burned away any evidence of the minor wounds he had. Yeah, we're lucky we even discerned he was hit with an evocation spell. Right, the autopsy report mentioned that too. If a fire was started, is it possible that he died from smoke inhalation? No, the divination spell we use always identifies smoke inhalation as death by poisoning, not death by suffocation. Suppose that kind of makes sense. Have to figure out what they wanted from me at times. Oh no! Well, let's see. It's still a shame we can't find out how the murderer suffocated him. We're gonna see once I actually have to present stuff how that's gonna go for me. We still know very little about how the murders occurred. Do you have records of each of the victims' spell compendiums? It might help us understand what each of the victims was doing during the attack. Sure, knock yourselves out. Oh boy. Prestidigitation. Prestidigitation. Yeah, I know that one. Conjure, we know that one. Conjure water. Frost wave. Anything covered in rage is hit with a blast of extremely cold air. Liquids hit will be immediately frozen. Aquatic life will immediately enter stages of hypothermia. Ooh. Force cage. For the duration, the caster creates a magical 10 feet times 10 feet times 10 feet cube around the target within 30 feet of them. I fucking hate America. The walls of this cube are impenetrable and can't be destroyed by anything, not even by spells that can normally dispel spell effects. Furthermore, any attempts to magically teleport into or out of the cube will fail. If there's more than one creature in a target space, they will be pushed away from the center of the cube. Like, Because you know what my problem is with this? I cannot properly gauge how much 30 feet is. Is 30 feet afar from one person? I guess. Mage Blade! We know that one. Slow fall. Caster counteracts the force of gravity affecting them, causing them to fall significantly slower when airborne for the duration. 9.1? That is way less. Like when you say 30 feet, I was imagining like really far, but 9 meters is not even that far away. 3 meters in all directions. You have to calculate feet by putting one of my feet in front of the other. Yeah, I know that feeling. I mean, technically, your feet are as big as like like your underarm, but it's hard to visualize feet for 0. It is. Like I see the number. I see the number before I actually realize what not currency. What's the word? In my mind, unit. Thank you. Before I see the unit, so I'm always like 30. What? And then it's like not even that much. One time there were you got a map of 5 feet squares. Yes, true. Everyone has different feet size wise. That is also very true. Okay, if you say it's not actually of importance, I will believe that. Foresight. Cast invokes the ultimate form of divination magic to see brief glimpses of the near future. While the spell is active, the cast is able to sense danger seconds before it actually happens. Ah. Cast increases the ability to predict the results of all their actions for the duration. This is useful for the purposes of aiming or doing other activities that rely on dexterity and skill. Make a circle with thumb and index finger. Non-optimal. Oh, okay. Ooh, detect magic. Repair you arcanum. While concentrating, the caster can see the normally invisible magical traces left by magic. Magical traces are created 2 times when a spell is cast. The first is created at the position of the caster when the spell is cast. The second is created when the spell effect resolves or dissipates. The caster can identify the school of magic of any trace by color. Evocation is red, transmutation is yellow, conjuration is cyan, divination is pink, abjuration is white, necromancy is purple, and illusion is green. Repair you arcanum. Stone skin. The caster creates a thick layer of stone around the body. This stone layer will deflect and protect the caster from any physical trauma. The stone layer can be slowly broken through continuous attacks. As long as the caster concentrates on the spell, the stone layer will instantaneously repair itself. Create an X with both arms. Huh. Hey, wow. That's a lot to work through. Yeah, my guy. Yeah, they do tell you, when you do detect magic, they do tell you what each is. But still, it's nice that they actually wrote it down. Since this is the first time we actually see detect magic as a spell, like, and what it does exactly, even though Celeste can use it the entire time. Yep, this is what happens when a bunch of mages are caught in the middle of a murder. Honestly, you've been lucky until now. Nevertheless, I'll need to look over each of these spells when they become relevant. Chalk outline in the center of the room. This must be where they found Van Sanctus's body. There's even bits of ash there. Must be the burnt fragments of the body. Oh. There's scorch marks all over the room. Fire must have spread pretty far. Oh yeah, it was probably going for a while. No one even noticed it until Prince Alaric told the King's Guard that he saw smoke. Interesting. We should speak with him and see if he saw anything else. I did, yes! Even now the sunlight is shining through the stained glass windows. It looks like the fire reached him before it was put out. Still looking pretty though. It's 10 plus 9. 19. Oh my god! Trace of evocation in a bunch of different spots around the room. I think the probe threw a bunch of fire-based evocation spells around to start the fire. The King's Guard used a bunch of water-based evocation spells to put it out before the fire spread. Makes sense. The Notch of Mind is nothing out of the ordinary here.
Yeah, happy 21 months. No, I'm sorry. What's 10 plus 9 a reference to? I have seen a bunch of nights, but this one doesn't ring a bell. There's a trace of evocation magic near the body. That matches his autopsy report. The murderer must have hit him with an evocation spell. Okay. Well. Trace of abjuration magic in the center of the room. The traces overlap with the body. Kind of. It's sort of square-shaped. Square-shaped. I can't see the traces, but there also seems to be a square-shaped outline around the body. You're right, they overlap perfectly. The urine inside the square is a lot less burnt now that I look at it. I'm not sure what this means yet, but it's definitely worth taking note of. Traces of abjuration magic that form a perfect square around the body. The area within the square seems far less burnt too. Oh, you think he was inside of the cage? More or less. Emphasis on less because the last case seems to be really, really long. Like, we're just going around getting all of our evidence with a bunch of people dead, suddenly. You think you found everything you can relating to Von Sanctus's murder? Perhaps you should move somewhere else. Balcony time. You arrive at the west-facing balcony of the cathedral. Supposedly, this is where the murderer threw Sybil's body into the lake. Hello there.
Hello.
As you inspect the area, you catch the attention of an old man nearby. From his garb, he appears to be someone who works at the cathedral. I don't believe we've met before. What are you doing here? Sorry for the intrusion. I'm Tyrion Cuthbert, and this is my bodyguard, so that's my toy. We're investigating the murders on behalf of Prosecutor Steven. Tyrion Cuthbert, I have heard of you. He doesn't look near these criminals. I expected him to be... He's 81. Mother... Just from his thoughts, he probably hasn't heard many good things about you. Forgive my rudeness. I'm Theon Arceus, High Speak of the Church of Bahamut.
If you knew I was a heaven-spawn, you would probably throw me over this railing right now.
That was a passenger Noah's Ark. High Speaker. What's a High Speaker do, actually? So you're the one who saw Steven here during the murders. Do you mind if I ask you some questions? He scans you warily. I suppose there would be no harm in that. He's like the Uber preacher. The Uber preacher. Didn't know they had Uber already in 1755. Whenever you saw the prosecutor acting strangely here, could you tell us more about what you saw? Did it look like she was having a psychotic episode? I wouldn't go that far, but she was certainly acting strangely. How'd you come across her? Well, I was on my way to the prayer room. I always recite prayers from the draconic texts around that time. He was heading to the prayer room. When I saw her, I first thought she was just enjoying the view of the lake. I was about to greet her, but when I approached her, I saw that she was throwing something off the edge of the balcony. You must have seen her dumping Sybil's body. You're probably correct. I came to the same conclusion after they found the poor woman's body below us. Although... What is it? I only saw it for a second, so perhaps I'm wrong. But Lady Sybil was wearing much brighter colors this morning. Whatever Lady Steven threw into the lake, it looked much darker. What does that mean? I'm sorry, I can't really explain it. Perhaps I was just seeing things. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be of all wood! Except I'm not 81 yet, and my eyes are already shit anyway. A vaguely equivalent to an arch... okay. Could have just been a trick of the light. Theon Arceus was on his way to the prayer room to recite his prayers. On his way there, he spotted Arya Steven throwing something off the west balcony. He wasn't able to see what she threw, but after Corin Sybil's body was found in Lake Galacrond, he assumed the object must have been Sybil's body. However, he could have sworn that he saw something darker, but he's still not sure. If you saw Arya dumping Lady Sybil's body, she must have just murdered her. That means you must have been heading to where we were at the time. No, were you praying there with Lord Pierce? Not exactly. What? That's not what the guards told me. Guards? Do you mean the ones standing watch outside the prayer room? Yes, they told me that Pierce was praying with some acquaintances of his.
They said the same thing to Lady Stewart as well. Stewart was there too? Yes, she appeared to be waiting for something. Anyways, I didn't want to disturb them, so I went back to my quarters to pray there. The High Speaker didn't see her fighting Celeste. She must have started her attack after he left, but why would she bother waiting? Either way, we can't exactly question those guards. Yeah, they're still comatose after the attack. Theonarchus went his way to the prayer room to... Never mind about that. After witnessing this, he attempted to enter the prayer room, but was turned away by the knights guarding it. Aha! Actually, the High Speaker's quarters aren't that far away from the prayer room. How did you not hear anything? Oh, must have been because of the magical wards in my room. Magical wards? Are they there for security reasons? What do you mean not reading the thing? I read the upper part when I unlocked it like a minute ago. Not exactly. I actually suffer from chronic insomnia. Even the smallest sound will make me up at night. Years ago, it's a mage's enchanted walls, so sound couldn't travel through them. I can't hear anything from outside the room once I shut my door. That is unfortunate. It does sound awfully convenient, but you doubt that he'd lie about something you could so easily verify. Either way, you should make a note of this. Supposedly, Theonarchus suffers from chronic insomnia and can be woken by even the smallest sound. As such, the walls of the High Speaker's quarters are completely soundproof once he closes the door. This should explain why Arceus didn't hear the fight between Celeste McCoy and Arya Stevens.
Imperio Arcanum! Imperio Arcanum!
There are traces of transmutation on the pieces of this debris. That would imply that the spell specifically targeted or created whatever this came from. But I doubt someone created these bits of gravel. They must have broken off from something else. And that's the only thing that has traces of magic on it. I'm surprised. Out of use it. Yeah! Honestly, I was surprised that's her voice, but I guess. Balcony provides a perfect view of Lake Galacrond. A lot of people probably come here when the Grand Cathedral is open to the public. I see a military stronghold in the distance. You must be able to see a lot from that high up. Oh, you think we should ask the stronghold then, if they saw anything here? That would be funny, I think. Do you have anything else? No? Next. You arrive back at the cathedral's garden and come across the cursed statue again. It's staring into my soul. And stop looking at it! As you move your attention away from the grotesque sculpture, you spot the crown prince. He's sitting on a bench guarded by some knights from the king's guard. His brow is furrowed and he seems to be deep in thought. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert! And Miss McCoy too! What are you still doing here? Well, clearly, we're going to defend your soon-to-be wife in court. We're trying to investigate what happened. We were looking around when we just happened to find you here. I see. Are you okay? Yes, I was just thinking how unfortunate this ordeal had been. I do hope Miss Daywan is taken as well. Right, she is his fiancée after all. Yeah! Don't ask me why. You must be extremely worried about her. Trying to find out what exactly happened. Do you mind if we ask you some questions? I see. Well, I'll do whatever I can to help. Yay! Someone, at least. You said that you two were investigating the murders. You weren't planning to defend Miss Stewart, were you? Yeah, why? If she would have me. She may be a competent prosecutor, but I have far more experience defending clients. Unfortunately, I think the situation is more complicated than that. What do you mean? Several house leaders died today. We can't release this information to the public. Not after the news of William Frigga's death has already spread. In the course of 2 months, we lost not 1, but 3 members of the Pillar families. But the trial has to happen soon, or else the magical traces left will disappear. From what I've heard, we will be holding a trial, but it will be handled privately and internally. And I'm sorry to say that, you won't be permitted to serve in such a trial. Right. A majority of the nobility hates me after all. But you're the Crown Prince! If you say I want him there as a defense attorney, they would have to accept that, maybe? Maybe? Please, 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 please. You wouldn't be able to pull some strings, would you, Asta? I'm sorry. I'd like nothing more than to give you the opportunity to represent her, but I clearly have a personal attachment to this case. If I try to tip the trial in her favor, it will only harm her chances more. Right, I see what you mean. Even if we can't help her during a trial, we can still investigate the crimes on her behalf. Yes, I would really appreciate that. If new evidence is found, perhaps we can exonerate Miss Stewin of the charges against her. Yeah, I'm gonna be in that trial somehow or another. We do not get to interact with the party hat. That is truly disappointing. After everything that's happened, I really need to know, why were so many nobles gathered in one place anyways? All 4 of the pillar families were present. I understand if you don't want to tell me, but this information could be vital in figuring out what really happened. No, I see your point. The truth is, we all gathered to mourn the death of my father, King Olivier the Vivengard the 9th. Death? Wait, the king is dead? Yes, we wanted to avoid releasing this information to the public so close to the death of William Frigga. My father has been ill for quite some time, so we were prepared for this. Or at least I thought I was. I also lost my mother when I was quite young, but it's still a little hard to take in. Oh no! I'm sorry, you have my condolences. Thank you. But if King Olivier is dead, that would make you... Yes, you currently stand before King Asta the Vivengard, ruler of our kingdom. Considering everything that's happened, he seems less than thrilled about that. I suppose that explains why all of these nobles were gathered. They came under the guise of paying their respects, but it's clear they all wanted to get closer to the new King of Vivengard. I think the figures were the only ones who genuinely came to give their condolences. Aww. The party hat is secretly evil. Can I click on it? What's with the mind of such a tortured creature? What is with you and the statue? I don't know, but I can feel its emotions as if they were my own.
It's an inanimate object, Tyrion. Prepario Arcanum.
Aww, sadly no magic on the screen. Speaking of the figures I think you need to know, I saw Beatrice before I was knocked out. I think she may have been the one that killed Garrick Pierce. How would she be there? I'm sorry, I know she's your friend, but we already know she's not above committing murder. I see. I suppose if you're saying it, it must be so. But what possible reason would she have to be involved in something like this? I'm not sure yet, but I plan to find that out. By the way, where were you during the murders? I remember you left with Stephen when Celeste and I arrived at the cathedral. Yes, Stephen and I left to speak with High Speaker Arceus in his quarters. What was your meeting about? It was actually about our wedding. When my father's death, Lord Stephen wanted to finally make our union official. Ah. Yeah, and I missed out on the stab letter joke, actually. I'm so sad. I would congratulate you too, but considering the circumstances, I understand and appreciate your words nonetheless. Anyways, how long did this meeting last? I believe we spoke with him until 1:40. Von Sanctus died at 2:05. That means that she began her rampage less than half an hour after the meeting. Was there anything off about her behavior? Now that you mention it, something about her demeanor changed. We were speaking of the wedding when she abruptly left. I asked her where she was going, but she ignored me. That sounds similar to what happened when Celeste fought her. There's no way she was affected by mage magic. From 1:15 to 1:40, Asta Vivengard and Arya Stevens spoke with High Speaker Tyrion Arceus about their upcoming wedding. At 1:40, Stephen abruptly left the meeting and didn't answer Asta when asked where she was going. I honestly didn't think much of it at the time. I'm quite used to her giving me the cold shoulder. Right. It's possible that the Stephen the witnesses saw wasn't actually real. Does that mean the Stephen that attended the meeting was also fake? Anyways, what happened after your meeting with the High Speaker? Did you see Stephen after that? Actually, I found myself caught up in something else entirely. At 2 p.m. I went to pay my respects to at my father's coffin. But apparently someone had set a magical trap there. What? It was a glyph of contingency? Oh, in casting this spell, the caster must choose another spell they know. The caster casts that spell, but the contingent spell doesn't come into effect. Instead, it takes effect when a certain condition specified by the caster upon casting a spell is fulfilled. The contingent spell takes effect immediately when a condition is fulfilled.
What?
Oh, it's just a slightly oh, okay, never mind. I get it now. Okay, I have to read that again. Okay. So you cast this one, but you choose something else to just go into effect later on, assuming the conditions are fulfilled. So it's just a time delayed way of casting. Yeah, okay. The first sentence threw me off. Like, when casting this spell, the caster must choose another spell, and now like, what? I get it now.
I've heard of that spell. It's like a trap you can set and you can infuse any spell into it.
But it requires a second contingent spell to place the trap. Which spell was it? It was a force cage targeting me.
Is the murderer trying to attack Asta too?
I don't think so. They would have used a more lethal spell if they wanted to. But from the sounds of it, force cage can't be dispelled. It's like a landmine. Yeah.
Prepare your arcanum!
And somebody claps their hands in the room, they seal us in. So Asta would have been trapped inside of it for that full hour. Yeah. Definitely sounds like something you could get some good use out of if you set it in advance. For something you wouldn't like physically be there for. I think the murderer used this as a distraction. Because of that trap, the Kingsguard consolidated most of their attention forces on my location. As a result, there were fewer people guarding Consanctus, Sybil, and Pix. And the ones that were there all fell comatose. They can't tell us what happened to them. At 2 PM, Asta the Wyvern Guard went to pay his respects at his father's coffin. Unbeknownst to him, however, there was a glyph of contingency set to trap him inside a fool's cage. The trap triggered and Asta was trapped in a magic cage for its duration. This caused the Kingsguard to consolidate the forces at Asta's location. As a result, Lord von Sanctus, Carlin, Sybil, and Garrick Pierce were left with far fewer guards defending him. And yet another inexplicable event is added to the list. After everything you've learned, you highly doubt the Steven was affected by Mageblight. So someone must be behind what happened, but who? Anyways, it seems he's told you everything he knows. He probably didn't witness much after he was trapped by that force cage. You should move somewhere else and follow your other leads. Of course. Interesting. Let's see. Where have I not been? I feel like have I missed talking to him? I mean, I haven't been to the dungeon yet, duh. But... this one didn't outright tell me that I have everything. Maybe I forgot to tell this dude about something. I did talk to him about everything. Right. You must present your badge to Pegasus. Some sort of debris on the ground. One of the pieces of steel in your hands appears to be some kind of gravel. Ah! Oh, okay. I didn't get this. Okay. That was a clue. And some bits of earth-like debris near the westward balcony. They have traces of transmutation magic on them. This also happens to be where Theon Arcus saw Arya Steven dump card in Sybil's body. There we go. Now I have everything I had to find here. Thank you. Ah. Funnily enough, I don't think we've presented anyone with our badge so far. Owie, 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 owie. God, I hate mosquitoes. It's not too late. I'll do it after. He's wearing the badge on his shirt.
I'm a defense attorney. Dun dun.
I mean, in this case, in this game, it's not even an actual badge. It's still funny.
She attacked a member of the royal family and oh wait, that's a small one.
She attacked a member of the royal family and killed several nobles. What else is there to investigate? Laws are clear about what we must do. We should execute her immediately.
Alaric, the situation is of far too much import to make such rash decisions. We need to approach this calmly and carefully. Who are you, actually? As you return to the nave, you spot a young prince in an argument with that noble man you saw earlier. Like, who are you? Now you think of it, you still have no idea who he is.
Oh, it's you two, Your Highness.
And I don't think we've been introduced.
What? I see you're still as insolent as ever. You stand before Sir Remus Virgile, Archduke and Royal Advisor to the Vivengard throne.
I believe he means advisor. Royal advisor, okay. Archduke. You didn't even know the Kingdom of Vivengard had a title like that. Why hadn't you ever heard of him before? Why are you two still here anyways? I thought the cathedral was closed for the investigation. We're investigating what happened on behalf of Prosecutor Stevens. I see. Anyways, I have much to attend to. I'll be taking my leave. Sounds a tinge of anxiety. Is he avoiding you? Actually, since we have you here, we have some questions for you. The both of you.
You should know your place, knave.
Yeah, you little stuck-up 7-year-old. Get the fuck over yourself. Your Grace, where were you when the murders took place?
So what are you trying to insinuate?
Please, Alaric, there's no need for that. To answer your question, I was speaking with Lady Frigga's familiar. Tracker? No, it was the demon who calls himself Marinette.
What?
Why would you want to speak with him? He was actually the one that sent for me. According to him, he had some information that was of great import to me.
You didn't make a contract with him, did you?
Of course not. What kind of desperate fool do you take me for? No, he gave me the information he had freely. Why would he do that? Demons are supposedly always trying to trick humans into making deals with them. Looking back, it must have been a distraction. What a fool I was. I knew he was playing with me. But I knew he couldn't tell lies, and the information he had was too important to ignore. If you don't mind me asking, what was the information about? I'm sorry, but I can't reveal what he told me. He could endanger people that I care about. Rest assured, I doubt it has anything to do with the massacre. Haha! You say this now! But it is going to be somewhat of importance sometime later, for sure. Your Grace, we've only just met. I can't exactly just take your word for it. I suppose that's fair, but believe me when I say that I plan to take this information to my room. That's ominous, but he's clearly intent on keeping the conversation a secret. Anyway, several members of the King's Guard were watching us. They can verify my alibi. How long did this conversation last? I arrived to speak with him at 1:50, and I didn't leave until 3:10. That's a long time. Even Marinette called Archduke Remus Virgile to meet with him at 1:50. Apparently had very important information and Virgile couldn't ignore. Virgile spoke with Marinette until 3:10. Members of the King's Guard guarding the demon can verify this. So he was accounted for during the time frame of the murders, but why would Marinette go to the trouble of distracting him in the first place? Whoever orchestrated this also used a force case to trap Asta. Were they trying to distract the forces in the cathedral, or were they trying to keep certain people out of the crossfire? Either way, it's clear that Beatrice has a lot to answer for. Listen, if it turns out that Beatrice doesn't actually have anything to do with all this and we're falsely accusing her of absolutely everything, I almost feel sorry for her. Like, whatever she did, she probably did not do of her own free will, considering the conversation with Aedes right before, but... Your Highness, we heard the prosecutor cast a spell on you when you saw the fire in the common room. Can you tell us more about what happened?
I can't believe she attacked a member of the royal family. She's completely irresponsible with her magic.
I understand your feelings about this, but we can't say for certain that she inflicted mage blight on herself. We don't even know if it was actually her.
I saw her with my own eyes. Plenty of other people did too.
Either way, where did this happen?
It was on a path outside the common room. I saw smoke coming from the building and I saw Steven walking away from it.
This must have been after she murdered Von Sanctus. I have a feeling I already know the answer, but was she behaving erratically?
No, she very deliberately cast a spell on me.
This again implies that Mage Blight wasn't behind this. Do you know which spell she cast on you?
I'm not sure. I've never been affected by a spell like that before.
From the magical traces on him, we know that it was a transmutation spell.
Transmutation spells manipulate and change physical matter. It's scary to think about what that might do to a human body. Are you sure he's okay?
Lord Asclepius inspected him and he doesn't appear to have any lasting injuries. We're hoping the spell's effects are only temporary. Can you just describe what you felt while you were affected by it? That might help us identify which spell it was.
Well, I was extremely dazed and my ears were ringing. My vision was also partially blurred. It was as if my mind was some sort of fog. Whenever I tried to speak, I couldn't even form words with my mouth. I could only make grunting sounds.
Ah, some kind of zombification.
I couldn't walk either, so I had to crawl on the floor.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. That must have been traumatic. But what kind of transmutation spell would do that to him? It had to be something that affected his senses. Damn. You already told us that she wasn't acting erratically, but was there anything off about her demeanor?
I only saw her for a moment, but she was definitely different than usual. She was completely emotionless. Yeah, that's exactly what she was like when I fought her too. It's like she wasn't a cane construct. Her movements were almost robotic.
Wait, are there any arcane constructs in the cathedral, perhaps? No, not for lack of trying on Lord Von Sanctus's part. I speak and I specifically forbidden the Starfleet from using them. It would be really convenient if all of this was done using a construct. Although you are a little tired of seeing them in your cases. Anyways, was anyone else around when Steven cast a transmutation spell on you?
No, she moved away quickly after she incapacitated me. And even if someone was around, I don't think I could have seen them anyways.
I like the vibe God saw Arya steal when exiting the common room. He saw the fire started there, but when he asked Steven what was going on, she cast a transmutation spell on him. The spell blurred his vision and put him in a daze. His ears were ringing and he was unable to speak or walk properly. He could only move by crawling on the ground. Strangely, no one saw him while he was in the state. That is so weird. Commander White also said that he was surprised no one saw the prince until after the spell wore off. What happened to him? That was Alaric's account of what happened, and we even got the Archduke's statement too, but there's still one last person we need to speak to. Arya. She and Beatrice supposedly have no memories of what happened. If it were only Beatrice saying that, I'd probably doubt it, but if Steven also doesn't have any memories, it becomes a lot more credible. She definitely has the missing piece we need to put this together. Are you going to the dungeon to speak with her? I am. Wonderful. I'll be accompanying you. What? As the royal advisor, I have a vested interest in this investigation. Well, I trust Lucio to leave no stone unturned. I hear you have quite a talent for seeing what the crown cannot. Well, it's not as if you have the authority to stop him, but you still don't know him very well. You need to be wary of what you say in front of him. Any more cases with those things should cause a ban on it? I mean, honestly, the fact that even just one person used it to kill someone should have already been enough to put a ban on him, and then the other person being the literal creator of the thing, even if it was an accident, should have definitely put any of that into the ground, but I guess they're too nice to have or something. Just stupid. Alright. Let's talk, Arya. You arrive at the dungeon and see the prosecutor sitting in a holding cell. She seems extremely stressed. It's as if she's trying to figure something out. Mr. Cuthbert, and your grace. Steven gives a wary look to the Archduke. How are you doing? As best as I can, all things considered. What brings you here? We're trying to investigate everything that happened. I see. I was wondering if you could answer some of our questions. Steven, I know your situation is pretty grim right now, but you know you can trust me. You're not the person I'm worried about. At this moment, I don't even know if I can trust myself. What? Oh?
We heard that you don't have any memories of what happened. Is that true? It is. No matter how much I try, I can't recall anything. What's the last thing you remember? I believe I was leaving my meeting with the High Speaker and His Majesty. After the meeting, I was planning to return to the nave to speak with my father, but I suddenly felt extremely nauseous. I thought some fresh air might help me feel better, so I went to the balcony. The one over Lake Galapon? Yes, that one. Last thing I remember, I was losing consciousness as I looked at the lake. And did you cast any magic before this happened? No, I didn't. Are you sure you don't remember anything after that? I don't. All I remember is waking up to the sound of someone sobbing. It was Celeste. She was crying over your unconscious body, Mr. Cuthbert. Arya Stewart has no memories of what happened after she left her meeting with Theon Arceus and Asta the Guard. After she left the meeting, she began heading to the nave to meet with her father. However, she suddenly felt nauseous and went to the westward balcony. She lost consciousness soon after. She later regained consciousness in the prayer room where she heard Celeste McCoy crying over your unconscious body. She did not cast any magic before she fell unconscious. I feel like we've completely ruled out Mage Blight, so I doubt that's why you can't remember anything. Are there any spells that can specifically modify or destroy people's memories? It would certainly explain a lot of this. No, arcane spells can only affect the physical world. Throughout history, mages have attempted to develop spells that can affect the mind. There's no recorded history of any of them succeeding. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, if I was someone who succeeded in, I don't know, changing someone's memory, and I could do it on purpose, repeatedly, I would also make it so no one else can remember the fact that I caused it, so there wouldn't be any recorded history of it, so I would be the sole being able to change people's memories, right? Assuming I was evil and wanted to use it for my plans, whatever they may be. Just saying, like, oh, there's no recorded history of it happening. Does not mean it hasn't been done yet, ever. Hello? You're assuming that arcane spells are the only type of magic that exists. What? I think you've observed it already. There are magical creatures in this world that don't use arcane magic. Isn't that right, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Does he know about the Eye of Horus? Did your friends drive over for some magically assisted psychotherapy? Like, yes. I'm not sure what you're trying to imply. Don't take me for a fool. Several of my associates attended Freyga's trial, and they all heard what the demon referred to you as. Heavensborn. If I learned that Lumina had anything to do with this, Your Grace, I'm not an agent of the theocracy, and even if what you're saying is true, I wasn't the one who manipulated Steven's memories. But I suppose you raise a good point. If something affected Steven's memories, it wasn't necessarily an arcane spell. In fact, it couldn't have been an arcane spell, it was definitely something else. You're probably right, which proves that I'm responsible for the murders. What? Huh? You just said that you don't have any memories of what happened. Why are you so convinced that you're responsible for this? I told the Inquisition already, I saw Beatrice before I passed out. She's clearly involved in this somehow. There's more to this than you realize, Mr. Cuthbert. For the past few months, the Inquisition and I have been investigating a string of seemingly unrelated murders. During each of these cases, we've been able to apprehend the perpetrator without issue. There was always something off about them during questioning. The murders were always abnormally gruesome and passionate, and each of the perpetrators said the same thing. They all said that they had no choice. No choice? Cases like this have been occurring throughout Rivengard, and very little connects the perpetrators to each other. All except one thing, each of them acted as if someone had controlled them against their will. They were probably just desperate. Most murderers try to make excuses after they're caught. They could even just be in complete denial. Orym said the same thing, but these cases were far too similar for me to ignore. Thank you for the idea, damn it, that. I wondered if they were telling the truth. Perhaps each of these murders was committed by an unknown party. I didn't have any concrete evidence, but I knew I was getting closer to something. Oh, and do you think that's why all this happened? The Purple Conspiracy! Purple? Steven, I don't mean to be rude, but this sounds completely insane. You don't even have any physical evidence to prove these murders are connected. There's one piece of evidence, but it's hardly concrete. But it does tie each of these cases together.
She takes out a small parchment from her pocket and shows it to you. It's a purple symbol.
Several of the people we arrested had an item with this symbol on it. None of them could remember where it came from or even what it was, but they all somehow knew that it was called a purple mark.
But there has to be an explanation for this. It could just be some esoteric superstition that we don't know about.
If that's true, then ask yourself one thing. Where did I get this parchment from? You don't mean... I found it in my pocket after I was properly confined. Whoever I've been chasing must have left it there to taunt me. For all I know, they could have controlled my body and forced me to draw the symbol myself. Either way, this all but proves the massacre at the cathedral is related to it.
Oh. It's some sort of strange symbol. Arya Steven calls it the purple mark. She thinks it has some relation to a mind control conspiracy. Supposedly, this mark has been found at the scenes of several gruesome murders throughout Vivengard. Arya felt she was getting closer to the truth. When she regained consciousness after the massacre, she found a paper with the symbol in her pocket. Damn. Ow. Cat is at fault, yes. Cat is the murderer. Cat murdered everyone with its cuteness.
Hey.
I hate mosquitoes! Genuinely, I've been doing fine this summer so far, not getting any mosquito bites. I went out yesterday to get dinner. Suddenly, I have 3 mosquito bites in just 1 foot, and I keep finding even more of them. I hate it. I don't want to dismiss what you said, but this definitely won't hold up in court.
Nor should it. If my mind has been compromised, I can't take the risk of leaving this dungeon. Otherwise, I could end up harming more people.
Are you planning to spend the rest of your life in prison?
If that is what is necessary to keep everyone safe.
What about Asta? Weren't you two supposed to be married soon? He's a king now. You can't rule Vivengard alongside him from a holding cell.
You're correct, but he's always been a remarkable person. He should have no problem finding another suitress.
No, girl! They do feel scratchy, that's the entire problem. And sadly, I'm someone who is very, very bad at holding yourselves back from scratching. You feel an overwhelming sadness emanating from her as she says that.
Arya...
No.
What?
You're not going to sacrifice everything for someone else's actions.
Mr. Cuthbert, I'm not going to risk more lives. If I were to hurt His Majesty, I would never be able to forgive myself. Please don't ask that of me.
Ugh. Steven was going to throw away everything she cares about for the greater good. Even if she was the one who did all this, she's not the one who's responsible. Nah, that's not gonna work. Also, I care too much for my nails. To clip them down, no. You can't let her resign herself to a fate like this. Let's go! Steven, are you seriously just going to throw your life away?
If it were necessary, I would give my life for this kingdom. If someone controlled my actions today, they can and will do so again. I will control my mind, and as long as the possibility exists, I can trust myself.
Really happened? Yeah. It's assuming this person can continue to do so. You said so yourself, you haven't found any evidence to prove your theory. We don't know how this mind control works, and we don't have enough information. We can't just drop this without finding out what really happened.
I suppose you're right, but I doubt there was any goal to this. The person responsible was just a sadistic killer. I've been investigating these murders for months. I've never been able to find any personal clues as to who the perpetrator is. There's no way to connect them to this. Whoever did this was a sadistic individual who wanted to cause as much suffering as possible.
No? If they wanted to cause as much suffering as possible, they would have outright killed everyone they've met. And considering that he, of all people, got hit with a spell that didn't actually outright kill him, I think we're good. That's not true, Steven. Whoever did this had very specific targets in mind. Both Prince Alaric and the High Speaker saw you when the murders were being committed. Not to mention they set a trap for Asta.
What? Let's assume that someone was controlling you. They wouldn't have left Alaric, Arceus, or Asta alive, all of those people A's. They were trying to kill as many people as possible. You lose, like, your life points up there. I don't actually know what happens if you lose all of them, though. Maybe you get a game over? Maybe you need to start it again? I don't know. Ouch. I suppose you have a point there, but even so, that hardly narrows things down. If someone was controlling me, they wouldn't need to enter the cathedral to use me. The perpetrator didn't need to enter the cathedral to commit the murders. Perhaps you're right and the perpetrator only wanted to murder 3 victims. There's plenty of people who might want to see those 3 dead. There's one thing you're overlooking. Before the murder started, someone trapped Asta within a force cage using the glyph of contingency. But it didn't harm him, it was probably just a distraction. Even so, this gives us 2 very important clues. The first is that whoever did this is capable of casting those 2 spells. This means that the perpetrator was a mage. It's true. But the second clue is the most important one. Whoever set the trap for Asta, they did so within 24 hours of it triggering. This means that the perpetrator must have been someone who attended the funeral. So it was one of them. That narrows down our list of suspects substantially. There's a chance we can identify who did this. If they really did control your actions, we can find a way to prevent them from doing so again. Steven, you need to fight this. I can't. Why not? There's probably people out there who failed these.
But I'm simply too smart. No.
Fighting like this will put people in danger. If you pursue an individual like this, they might retaliate even more than they already have. They wanted to remove me from my position, and they clearly failed.
Because I'm still out here, and I won't rest.
It's not like you have to get everything right the first time around. Like, you clearly have some room to, like, say the wrong thing. I think it's quite a lot easier than it is with most Ace Attorney cases, where sometimes I'm really just sitting there like, what exactly do they want me to show right now? And the game is like, oh, right, it's so obvious, of course, why didn't I think of that sooner? And I'm just sitting there like, huh? Do you get emotional damage when you fail and start crying in front of everyone? Yeah! Please. How will they react if I try to resist? They might hurt even more people to send a message. It's far too dangerous. Eh, come on. You have no guarantee as to who is talking next. Your father? The king! Whoever did this had a goal far bigger than you, and you have no guarantee that they'll stop you. 3 nobles died today, and 2 of them were near the top of the political hierarchy. What if they decide to go after more victims? Who will they target next? Your father? The king? No, she doesn't like that. We need to catch them before they can do more harm. I know you're frightened about what might happen to the people close to you, but we can't let someone that dangerous get away with this. Put it that way, I suppose I have not a choice, do I?
Hell yeah.
Ow, 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 ow. Ow, 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 ow. Okay. And now I realize that before, Mr. Cuthbert. What? You really have a bad habit of putting your nose into other people's business, don't you?
That is my job.
Yeah, I suppose I do. But you're right, we can't let this go. I'll find a way to dispute this somehow. Thank you, Mr. Cuthbert. I think we've known each other long enough. You don't need to be so formal. You successfully argued against Arya Stewart. Perhaps I misjudged you. The fuck do you want? I forgot about this guy being here, not gonna lie. I know I agreed to fight this, but... What is it? You're the most qualified attorney in the nobility. You'd definitely be able to make a case for yourself. As you probably know, House Sybil controls the legislative and judicial branches of our kingdom. And they've nominated my father as the prosecutor for my trial. Is that allowed? Wouldn't he have a personal stake in this? Is that allowed? What? No one believes my theory of mind control. Everyone believes that I overspent my magic and gave myself mage blood. As a result, they blame House Stewart for Coral and Sybil's death. The only way for him to redeem House Stewart is to convict me and sentence me to death. But he's your father. There's no way he would... This isn't the first time something like this has happened. When I was a child, my mother accidentally overused her magic and induced mage blood within herself. In a resulting psychotic episode, she massacred an entire village of commoners. House Stewart almost lost everything after that. To redeem himself, my father personally oversaw my mother's trial and her execution. My father values his duty to Vivengard over everything else. Nothing matters more to him than that, not even his family. Aha! I mean, I didn't mean from like his personality or anything. I just meant from like a legal standpoint. In the same vein that a doctor is not allowed to do surgery on family. Stuff like this. I want to have confidence in myself, but I don't know if I can face him like this. Mr. Cuthbert, what is your stake in all of this? What? You hate the nobility, don't you? So why are you so intent on helping Miss Stewart? Because she's innocent, I know she is. She would never be irresponsible enough to give herself mage blood. Mr. Cuthbert. It doesn't matter if she's a noble or commoner. She's being oppressed by the system and she deserves a fair trial. Well said. What? I, Remus Virgile, hereby grant you the privilege to serve as Miss Stewart's counsel. Wait, really? I will be acting as the judge and arbiter of Miss Stewart's trial. It is within my right to grant such permissions. Thank you! Why would you... Do you think I've made a mistake? No, of course not. I'll serve as Stewart's attorney. If she will have me. Of course. There's no one else I would trust more with this. And please, you've done a lot for me already. You don't have to be so formal. Please call me by my first name. Class is already taken to doing that. But since you'll be defending me, you probably need this. Ah! Firebolt. Class launches a fiery projectile that's hot enough to inflict 3rd-degree burns. This projectile can travel 120 feet without collision before its magic dissipates. Once it collides with something, it will set the object ablaze if it's flammable. As it completely restricts the movement of the target, while concentrating on the spell, the target will be unable to move any part of their body. Even subtle movements, such as the gestures required to cast certain spells, are impossible. As a result, the target will also be unable to move their mouth to speak. And it is not actually a typo, it's literally called hodl. Each caster strikes the targets of their choice within a 40 feet radius with a slashing force. Each slash has the might and power of a mage blade and can cut through thick metal armor. It's the ultimate spell of House Stewart, and its spell formula is a closely guarded secret. There's index finger and pinky. Okay. Polymorph! The caster transforms the target within 30 feet of them into an animal. The animal can be any creature that can fit within a 2x2x2 cube. For the duration, the target's senses and intellect will also be changed to match that of the animal they are transformed into. We did think it was a typo, yeah. Oh yeah, the spell magic we know. Then it's settled. We will hold the trial at my home, the city of Ladin. Ladin? Never heard of that place. Speak with Lucio, he knows the location well. I don't think he wants to talk to me, but I'll do it. Before you can ask any more questions, the Archduke leaves without a word. He really has a bad habit of just walking away from conversations. But I guess we should consider ourselves lucky. Even if it's unorthodox, this situation will let us approach this like any other trial. Oh yeah. You had no idea what you were in for when you agreed to this, and what proceeded next would be unlike any trial you've ever been in. But even so, you persevered as you've always done in the name of justice. Regardless of what you'd
you'd have to sacrifice to do so. I don't want to sacrifice anything. Why are we sacrificing things?
Tyrion, we're definitely lost.
You followed Lord Steelwind's directions to the letter, but it appears you found yourself in the ruins of an old city rather than the estate of the Archduke.
I don't understand. This should be the place. Archduke? The map even has a giant 3 north of here. This can't be the city of Landon that Vigil mentioned. This doesn't look like anyone's lived here in centuries.
But Lord Steelwind's directions were pretty straightforward, so why are we... Wait a minute.
Did he give us the wrong location on purpose?
Please, what kind of dishonorable cretin do you take me for? Lord Steelwind. Only two standing around here for the trial will be starting shortly. He's not alone either. He's flanked by a division of the King's Guard in Arya. It's difficult to tell if they're escorting her or keeping watch over her. You can see one of the knights channeling a spell over Arya. It must be an anti-magic field. Even now, she must still be wary about someone taking control of her mind. Wait, this is where we'll be hosting a trial? Yes, the Archduke has always been sentimental about this place. And I doubt the normal courtroom would have enough space. What? I really don't know what possessed him to trust you. It's a miracle he's even taking part in this at all. But nevertheless, let's not keep him waiting.
Before you can ask him to elaborate, he walks past you and heads towards one of the central buildings. It's completely dilapidated. You're a little worried it might collapse on you while you're in it. You look at the prosecutor and raise an eyebrow at her, but she merely shakes her head. It's clear she's just as lost as you are.
Alright, I guess we're doing this.
Okay.
The fucking gallery! Oh my god. The rooms are filled with everyone who was at the Grand Cathedral that day, and they all seem to be just as out of the loop as you are. The only person who seems to be unfazed by this entire situation is Lord Steelwind. He's taking his position at the opposite end of the room. It seems that he truly plans on prosecuting his daughter. Thank you all for coming here today. I appreciate your cooperation with our investigation.
Why have you brought us here? This place is filthy! It's crawling with insects and vermin!
My apologies, but what happens here today must be kept under wraps for now. I had to choose a location that was away from modern civilization. But nevertheless, I welcome you all to my home. You live here? I do. Your Grace, I know you wouldn't bring us here unless you were completely certain, but I want to ask you one last time, is this truly what you wish to do? There will be no going back after this. What? I've made many mistakes in my lifetime. I gave Isengard the means to protect themselves, but all I did was wrap them into something monstrous. I grew bitter seeing what I created, so I isolated myself from my people. I thought my best course of action would be to stay in seclusion and leave Isengard to fend for themselves. I see now what a fool I was.
The cozy stone one!
I abandoned my kin to survive in an unjust world, and now foreign powers have ingrained themselves in my kingdom. All because of my negligence.
Foreign powers? Does he still suspect that you're an agent of the theocracy?
Well, no more. It's time that the people of Isengard and their enemies remember who watches over them.
As he raises his hand, magic begins to swirl around him. What's going on? The entire room is violently shaking. Whatever he's casting, it's unlike any magic you've ever seen before. A blinding light envelops him, but you can faintly see his form changing. It's expanding, and from it...
Is that...
Ah! What? It's a dragon!
As the Archduke assumes his true form, the gallery breaks out into hysteria. Some of them kneel in reverence to the ancient dragon, and some of them cower in absolute terror. You even see some of them attempt to flee before they stop by the Knights of the King's Guard. Question mark. Enough. This may not be a court, but I will have order. You're an ancient dragon. No, you're the last ancient dragon. That is correct, Heavenspawn. I am the Lord of all lords. You all stand before Rethalion, the Scaled Lord. Occupation, Scaled Lord! Remus Virgile is an earliest, I assume, when I walk amongst your kind.
Age 1203.
Ah, isn't that cute? Ah.
I'd make no mistake, even in my human form I've always had the strength of an ancient dragon. Until now, only the Lords of House Steelwind and the Kings of Isengard have known my true identity. but I will hide no longer. My will alone will determine how this trial ends. But that's why you're acting as the arbiter. Arbiter? You're the only person with the authority to convict any and all of the nobles here. Make no mistake, Mr. Cuthbert. I will remain impartial regardless of what transpires here. Arbiter? I will not interfere in this trial, nor will I try to manipulate its outcome. I will only mediate its proceedings, and pass judgment when necessary. That's certainly terrifying. Now then, with introductions out of the way, shall we proceed? Of course, Your Grace. I'm not gonna give Stewind also a deep voice because I'm gonna die if I have to do so many deep voices. The prosecution is ready. Defense is also ready. I'm sure we're all thoroughly aware of why we've gathered here, but for the sake of doing this properly, could you please list the charges, Lucio? Of course. The defendant Arius Stewind is charged with several counts of manslaughter. The victims include many knights of the King's Guard who are still unresponsive. And of course, there's Lord von Sanctus and Corellin Sybil, the heads of House von Sanctus and House Sybil, respectively. Yeah, I'm gonna give Stewind an Uber voice. As far as the trial has been over before it began, Lady Stewind clearly overestimated herself. Even a child knows to be wary of mage blood. Don't you see? This is where how much judgment! Divine powers can be clearly think she's unfit to rule the king's side. Might I remind the court of my own testimony? I witnessed Beatrice Frigga enter the prayer room before I lost consciousness. Isn't it suspicious that this occurred around 15 minutes before Pierce's death? Objection! If I recall correctly, you only caught a glimpse of her. You don't know if it was someone else disguised in an illusion. You didn't even speak to her. That's all the more reason to call her to stand to explain herself. She's already testified that she has no memories of what transpired during the massacre. There's no need to drag this out any longer than necessary, Cuthbert. My client has a right to a fair trial, and Beatrice Frigga's involvement clearly implies some sort of foul play. Enough. I find Mr. Cuthbert's request to be reasonable, and I agree that Lady Frigga's actions are quite suspect. Very well. Let the defense have his battle. I only hope for his sake that his blade strikes true. Why is everything a war metaphor with you? Because he fought in the war! Obviously! Beatrice, I'm glad you're safe, Mr. Cuthbert. Not for lack of trying on your part. I have no memories of what I did. If I hurt you, I am truly sorry. She actually looks pretty sincere, but it's not as if this is the first time she's lied to you. To be honest, I'm still a little doubtful about your memory loss. I'm not the only one who experienced it. Arya also has no memories of what happened. And how would you know that? Well, it travels around quickly in the dungeons. What? Regardless, if you truly have no memories of what happened, could you testify about what you do remember? Oh, this is gonna be fun. With all of this glitching everywhere, this is gonna be a hell. To decipher. Regardless, if you perhaps there's a clue there we haven't discovered yet. Very well. Yeah. Let's see how far we can get today. I was with my sisters and my guide, Iris Elmander. I was speaking with them in the garden when I suddenly fell ill and lost consciousness. When I woke up, my sisters found me. They said that I had gone missing for over an hour. I was confused, but when I later heard what happened, I realized that someone must have taken control of my body. I have no memories of what happened, and from what I understand, the same thing happened to Arya. And to make matters worse, there's nothing that indicates who may have controlled our actions. So she's also saying that someone else was controlling her. Well, her testimony does match up with Arya's statement, but there's something off about the way she's testifying. If she were trying to lie to you, she would have been a lot more vague. What is she doing? Are we winning? We just got started, so... Objection! Why would she say something like that? You found the contradiction, but it was almost like she gave it to you. Beatrice, you said there's no indication of who orchestrated this, but there's one piece of evidence that does just that, albeit loosely. And what would that be? This symbol. Pull out the parchment with the purple mark on it and show it to her. Why is Marineth so surprised? Marineth, what are you doing? What's wrong? He's using his powers to suppress our connection. Magic. I can't actually see what you're trying to show me. Marineth, can you stop being petty and just let her see it? I don't take orders from you, Heaven's Point. I wonder, Mr. Cuthbert, what's on that parchment? You see, Beatrice, Arya has been investigating a string of murders to Advivengard. These murders appear to be unrelated despite how gruesome they are, but they all share one thing in common. His symbol was found at each and every crime scene. Don't tell me my daughter's roped you into a little conspiracy theory. Your mind control defense would be laughable if it weren't downright insulting. Lord Steerwind, during the gap in Arya's memory, someone placed this mark in her pocket. It was clearly some sort of taunt from whoever orchestrated this. Nonsense. She clearly drew that symbol herself during her psychotic episode. I've had to listen to her go on and on about her insane theory. She was obsessed with it. Mr. Cuthbert, aren't you curious about what just happened? What are you talking about? Think about it, why did... My apologies, I don't know why I said that.
Fucking hell, Iris! Stop interfering with my trial!
Is everything okay, Beatrice? Yes, I'm perfectly fine. Anyways, it looks like you have to figure the rest out on your own. Yeah, the rest on my own. What do you mean by that? There's nothing to figure out. You guys, they still are making a mockery of us by spouting these insane theories. Defense clearly has no case, and there's a cause. Considering what I know, I'd like to indulge this theory. What? I just finally giving you a chance for once, that's the first. You shouldn't waste this opportunity. We've actually been noticing it for quite a while. Beatrice has been acting strangely since the trial began. It's suspicious, but not in a way that seems to implicate her. It's almost like she's intentionally trying to make you realize something. Why don't you pull on this thread a little more? She's asked you if you were curious about what just happened. You're not sure why she stopped herself when you asked for elaboration. What he meant was Beatrice referring to. Whatever she's trying to draw your attention to must be significant. Marineth! It... The purple mark. Beatrice. Didn't allow Beatrice to see the purple mark. He'd only do that if Beatrice would recognize it normally. Why would Marineth interfere? Marineth is a familiar and he used to follow her orders. But things have clearly changed now that she belongs to the Empress of Discord. So why would a Neban like Marineth interfere like this? The purple mark is related to a demon. The purple mark must be related to a demon somehow. That's the only explanation as to why he would prevent her from seeing the mark. But Arya has been investigating murders throughout Vivengard. Does this mean that her investigation also has something to do with a demon? Arya suspected that each of the murderers was acting against their will, and now both Arya and Beatrice are also claiming they were controlled. How could something demonic control Beatrice? You can't explain what happened to Arya and these other individuals, but you do know why Beatrice might not have full control of her actions. Beatrice lost control of her actions due to a blood contract. Thank you for giving me half of my case already. You recall what was written on Beatrice's contract during her trial. It said what would happen if she failed to claim House Freyga. Her soul, her mind, and her life would all be claimed by the Empress of Discord. What does this tell us about Arya? If this Empress of Discord owns Beatrice's mind, would that mean they could also control Beatrice against her will? But if that were true... Arya lost control of her mind due to a blood contract as well. No, that can't be right, can it? Did Arya seriously sign a blood contract with a demon? But why would she ever do that? It's a conclusion that makes the most sense. I can't think of any other way someone would control her against her will. And there is one way to find out for certain. The Divine Edict, the same ability used against Beatrice during her trial. It was instinctual at the time, but you have some understanding of how it works. It needs a copy of the blood contract between a contract holder and the demon who created it. But for it to work, you need to know the name of the contract holder. In addition to that, you need the name of the demon who created the contract. Which demon did Arya make a blood contract with? Right now you're only relying on guesswork, but going off of what you know, the demon who made the contract must be... Eugene Harrods! Well, it's the only other one we know the name of somewhere, so... Assuming that is the proper name.
The so-called Empress of Discord. She was mentioned in Beatrice's blood contract, but you still have no idea who or what she is. However, she was mentioned in a blood contract created by Marinette. She must be his superior in some way. It might explain why Marinette doesn't want Beatrice to identify the purple mark. You're not sure if a pseudonym is enough, but it's the closest you can get with what you know so far. You've been awfully quiet for a while, Mr. Cuthbert. What are you thinking about? He's probably imagining new ways to futilely stall for time. I think I finally figured out why the witness and the defendant can't remember anything. And it would also explain why they didn't have control of their actions. Again with this. If you're so convinced of my daughter's conspiracy, why don't you prove it? I knew it. Even you don't believe in the nonsense you're spouting. You haven't even given me a chance to actually say what I wanted to say, bro. Lord Steven, I want to be wrong about this. Different morality implications don't bode well for anyone involved. So instead of telling you, I think it would be better to show you. Empress of Discord, wherever you may hide. Damn it. I knew you could do it. By the Eye of Horus, I issue upon you a divine edict. Release thy guards and manifest your black contract with Arya Steelwind. The black contract seems strange. Unlike Beatrice's contract, it's only one page. Even stranger, there's a large empty space at the top half of the page. There are only a few sentences at the bottom. For the intentions of the contract, the person who hands the contract to Arya Steelwind will be referred to as the patron. By signing this contract, Arya Steelwind surrenders her mind, body, and soul to the patron. This contract will bind Arya Steelwind to the patron so long as they both live. Sign with Arya's signature. No, this can't be true. This is... Ooh. Enough! Stop prattling amongst yourselves. Objection! This is a sham. This wretch has clearly created a convincing fabrication. It's genuine, Lucio. It's impossible to falsify something like this. Can't deny the truth anymore, Lord Steelwind. There is a way to control someone else's actions. Arya Steelwind wasn't affected by mage blood. She was controlled against her will. With this evidence, there's no doubt that Arya did sign a blood contract, but it still doesn't make sense. I agree. Even if Arya was the type of person to sign a contract with the demon, there isn't a single part of this contract that benefits her. Why would Arya sign this contract? Arya signed the contract. Does it look like a normal document? There's a largely empty space above the terms of your daughter's contract. When I issue a divine edict, it creates a copy of the blood contract that I call for. I think when she was given this contract, it probably looked like something entirely different. Something else was written in this empty space to make it look like a normal legal document, which means that my client was not in control of her actions that day. Objection! Enough of this, all of you. Do you see now, Lord Steelwind? Arya is not responsible for what happened. That remains to be proven. What are you talking about? She's a black contract that relinquishes control of her free will. Not having control and not being responsible are two very different things, Cuthbert. What? I'll admit, the defendant may not have had control of her actions when she murdered the victims. However, she did have full control of herself when she signed this contract. Are you serious? No one in their right mind would willingly sign a contract like this. And what of Beatrice Frege? Was she in her right mind when she made a contract with the demon Marinette? If you can't hold the defendant responsible, surely we should also acquit Lady Frege for the murder of her father. That's hardly the same thing. I, for one, fail to see the difference. Maybe you should... No, I will refrain from commenting on the fact that he only was one-eyed. The fool made a deal with the demon, and as a result, several esteemed members of the nobility were killed. She's your daughter, Lucio. And how does that change anything? Damn it. He seriously doesn't care if he convinces Arya. Honestly, this only places more responsibility on her for what happened. I could have accepted if she had been reckless and accidentally induced mage blood. She signed a contract with a demon. The only further espouses... That only further espouses the need to put her down. I feel like I need a dictionary to play this game. In several languages, actually.
She was clearly tricked, Lucio. Is that so? As a fellow attorney, would you really sign a contract without carefully inspecting it? Hi, TK. Whether it was her foolishness, negligence, or both, Tiffany willingly signed a blood contract. She compromised herself, and as a result, 3 nobles died. Responsibility falls squarely on her. Wait. Even if she willingly signed a contract, that's not entirely true, is it? Who else was responsible for Arya's actions? The patron, as it says in the thing itself. Have you a crooked attorney? Sure. Lucio, there's clearly someone else to blame for Arya's actions that day. No, and who would that be? I'd like to reread my client's blood contract to the court. By signing this contract, Arya Steven surrenders her mind, body, and soul to the patron. That can only mean one thing. Whoever this patron is, they took control of my client and used her to murder the victims. That's right. They could still be out there. None of us are safe until this patron is apprehended. Surely we can end this trial while every member of the Wyvern nobility is in danger. Well played. I'm compelled to agree with Mr. Cuthbert. Trickery or not, it's clear someone wished ill intent on the noble. Oh, wow. Nobles. And until we know who this patron is, you can't pass judgment on my client. Not until we know the circumstances that she signed the blood contract under. And what would you have us do, Cuthbert? The contract has no stipulations about proximity or how this mind control works. For all we know, this patron could have murdered the victims all while sitting in their very home. There was a clear intent behind this attack. Even if the patron didn't directly participate in the murders, they definitely had a motive. If Arya is being controlled, then we can analyze her behavior to determine who was controlling her. See, that does sound as good a plan as any. At the very least, we can allow this patron to escape justice. Despite the questions raised, we clearly made some headway. I believe we should take a brief recess to process these revelations. Very well. Oh, I would love to save my progress always. Thank you. Let's see. A little more. Step outside the Scale Lord's lair to get some fresh air. Those new revelations are a lot to take in. Celeste looks especially down. From what you've observed, she and Arya have been speaking to each other a lot. They must have become friends over the many times they've met. I can't imagine how powerless she feels right now. Arya, I'm so sorry. Don't be, Her voice begins to break. She's always been stoic, but it's clear even she has her breaking point. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now. But there's still hope. If you can find out who did this to you, we can still save you. Do you remember if you've signed anything recently? No, I don't. I meant, the patron must have wiped your memories to cover the tracks. But I still don't understand. Even if I don't remember signing the contract, I don't think I would be that careless. Right. As much as I hate to admit it, Lucia was right. You're an attorney like me, and we always carefully look over contracts before we sign them. Which raises the questions of how the patron got your signature. I don't know. Damn it. We don't even know what circumstances you were under when you signed the contract. For all we know, the patron could have used any number of tactics to coerce you into doing this. It's also possible. Oh yeah. So you're deliberating amongst yourselves, Lord Steven approaches you. What are you doing here? Father. I can't believe him. How does he have nothing to say? His actions say otherwise, but he could have sworn he saw something through the eye. It's almost as if he was saddened and worried. No matter how he feels internally, he's made it clear that he's your enemy. Whatever his motivations are, you'll overcome him, just like everyone else. We should also head back, Celeste. Right. No matter what it takes, you're going to see this through. Hell yeah. Court is now resumed. Shall we pick up where we carried off? How would you like to proceed? I think we should review what we do know about the murders. We do have a plethora of witnesses to work with. That is correct, so let's start from the beginning. It all began at noon yesterday morning. I was at my house in Rathhome with Arya and my bodyguard Celeste. I was speaking with them when a courier suddenly delivered a letter to my home. It was from Garrick Pierce. He wanted to meet with me and Celeste at the Grand Cathedral of the Skate Lord at 2 p.m. And funnily enough, the letter that we received from Garrick Pierce also was cut in half. Not cut, ripped in half.
To make sure we were on time, we arrived at the Grand Cathedral at 1 p.m. At the time, we didn't know the cathedral was closed to the public, but the knights guarding the cathedral allowed us through anyways. Apparently, they were expecting us. That should not have been possible. Due to the solemnity of the situation, we were very particular about who was permitted to enter the cathedral. It's possible someone pulled some strings to let us through. Or you two entered the cathedral illegally. Well, I'm sure that knight from the King's Guard can vouch for us. I know about every order given to the King's Guard.
Well, the guy said we can go in. Fuck off. Jesus.
It's possible the knight we met felt comatose like the others, and as long as they're unresponsive, we'll never know. Perhaps we should continue. Anyways, we arrived at the church and spent the next hour sightseeing before we went to meet with Pierce. In that time, we met Remus, Lucio, Arya, Asta, and Alaric. And around that time, Arya and Asta left together to meet with the High Speaker in his quarters. While exploring the cathedral, we spoke with Fonsanctus and Sybil. Then we spoke with the three Frigga sisters and Eris Ilmater. Eris Ilmater? She's a friend of Beatrice Frigga. King's Guard wouldn't let her bring her family into the cathedral, so she brought Eris to guide her instead. Anyways, we left the garden at around 1:45 p.m. to meet with Pierce in a prayer room. And around the same time, Arya left a meeting with the High Speaker and felt nauseous. The last thing she remembers is looking at Lake Galakrond. A likely story. Regardless, at 2 p.m., Asta went to pay respects to his father's body. Unbeknownst to him, a mage had placed a glyph of contingency in front of his father's coffin. It was said to trap him within a force cage. What a despicable act. Considering what followed, the attack on His Majesty must have been a diversion. Right. It was also at this time that both Beatrice and Eris went missing. Considering the timing of it all, someone must have taken control of Beatrice's body after the trap on Asta was sprung. Are you saying this patron controlled her as well? No, I don't think so. According to her contract, her mind belongs to the Empress of Discord, not the patron. Furthermore, Arya's Black Contract was created by the Empress. It's clear that the patron and the Empress were in league with each other. Wonderful. Another demon we have to worry about. Anyways, the patron and the Empress had all of the pieces they needed. That's when they began the massacre. The patron took control of Arya's body and they used her to murder Fonsanctus at 2:05. Presumably, Arya started a fire in the common room around this time, and since Fonsanctus' body was found there, this must have been after she murdered him. Shortly after, Prince Alaric spotted smoke from the fire and asked Arya what was going on. Arya responded by using an unknown transmutation spell to incapacitate him. I think they would use her to attack the prince as well. Luckily, the effects of the spell were only temporary and Alaric came out unharmed. After this, the patron used Arya to murder Sybil at 2:15. She brought Sybil's body to the westward balcony where she dumped it into Lake Galakrond. High Speaker Arcus witnessed this, but he wasn't aware of what she'd done to the balcony until much later. The High Speaker thought this encounter was strange, but he continued with his business. He headed to the prayer room, but was turned away by the knights standing guard there. Meanwhile, Celeste and I were talking to Lord Pierce. When we showed up for the meeting early, he was clearly expecting someone else to show up. We tried to get to the bottom of what was happening, but he refused to answer our questions. And at about 2:20, we heard a commotion outside. Celeste went to investigate. And that's when Celeste fought Arya. The patron's target was Garrick Pierce, but Celeste was too powerful to neutralize. They fought each other for about 15 minutes before Arya was finally able to push past her. Wait, 15? Wasn't it 20 earlier? During the fight, the Empress sent Beatrice into the prayer room. She probably made Beatrice invisible to move undetected. She then used her to cast a sleep spell on Pierce and me to knock us out. I remember checking the time close to when this happened. This must have happened at 2:30. If your testimony is correct, Beatrice Frigga was actively used in this plan. Yes, and considering how quickly the massacre unfolded, the Empress must have coordinated with the patron. They probably planned how they would use Beatrice and Arya to carry out the murders. Anyways, after Beatrice knocked us out, Arya finally pushed past Celeste and entered the prayer room. And before Celeste could chase after her, she had already murdered Pierce. Arya and I were already unconscious by the time Celeste entered the room. The patron had already achieved the goal of murdering the three nobles, so she probably fell unconscious after they released their control over her. Arya and I regained consciousness shortly after. That's when the Inquisition arrested her for the murders. Lord Pierce was one of the victims. Your meeting clearly had more significance than I'd realized. So tell us, Cuthbert, what was your discussion about? It's fine, you can tell them.
Alright, as long as it's okay with you.
For the past few months, Celeste and I have been investigating who her birth parents are.
I recall receiving many complaints about her during the Lord's Ball.
Supposedly, Gary Pierce had the information we were seeking. The letter he sent us said that he wanted to trade this information for his freedom. I assumed this meant that he wanted me to be his attorney.
Do you honestly expect us to believe that? Why would he ask for help from the attorney who addicted him in the first place?
We thought the same thing. When we arrived for the meeting, it was clear I wasn't the intended recipient. This means that Pierce had sent the letter to someone else.
Better not be lying to us, Cuthbert.
Frankly, I don't much care if you believe me. Regardless, if we examine every action Arya took, we can build up psychological profile of the patron.
I will give you that.
To begin, the defense would like to call the Inquisition commander to dissent. His testimony might shed some light on how Von Sanctus and Sybil died. Despite all these witness accounts, we still only know how Pierce was murdered.
Yes, he was impaled using a blade magically frozen from his own blood.
In a grim sort of way, it's almost pathetic that he died the same way Flynn had died.
Well, Flynn had died due to some water being frozen stuck through him. Dying because someone stabs your own blood through your abdomen must have been...
But you doubt that will give Celeste any kind of closure. Anyways, we need to find out exactly how Arya murdered Von Sanctus and Sybil. The massacre was swift and efficient. It must have required a lot of forethought and coordination. If we figured out who might have had this knowledge, we might be able to find out who did this.
See, sounds as good a plan as any. Kingsguard, escort Commander Oren White to the witness stand.
It is a wild way to go for sure.
Witness, please state your name and occupation.
Right, Commander.
I'm sorry, I just can't do this. How am I supposed to act like this is normal? A giant lizard is standing right behind me.
Calling me a lizard is highly offensive, Commander.
Sorry, your escaped lordship, sir.
Commander, just try your best to testify about what happened.
Yeah.
Don't mind the giant dragon in the back. Come on, my guy. It all started when we received a report from the Kingsguard. The prosecutor attacked Prince Alaric and a fire had broken out in the common room. We weren't sure what the deal with Steven was, so we went to the common room to put out the fire. But when we got there, we noticed a bunch of unconscious knights in front of the prayer room. We went to the prayer room. That's when we found Steven and Cuthbert unconscious next to Pierce's dead body. We later found the bodies of Von Sanctus and Sybil too. That's when we realized that she offed all three of them. So you still have no idea how Steven was used to murder Von Sanctus or Sybil?
Not a clue.
It's especially worse for Sanctus. The fire burned a lot of physical evidence off of his body. What about Sybil? Was there any physical evidence on her body?
No idea about that either. She didn't have any wounds either. All we know is that she died of suffocation.
There's definitely more information you can glean from the investigation. He's only going to eat you when you tell a lie. I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Ow! The last statement was a little vague. Perhaps you should ask him to elaborate more on one of the murders. Which murder should he elaborate on? Sanctus. Could he elaborate more on Von Sanctus' murder? Was there any evidence that implied how he died? Like I said, it's trickier with Von Sanctus because the fire partially burnt his body, and our divination magic could only tell that he died of suffocation. See, so there's no other physical evidence. There's one thing. From his burn marks, we do know that he was hit with a firebolt before he died. We're guessing she wanted to weaken him before she dealt the final blow. So he took a direct attack from her before he died. Anyways, please add us to your testimony, Commander White.
Sure, whatever you say, kid.
The burns on his body she must have hit him with a firebolt to keep him from getting away. He didn't have anything to defend himself there. What I really want to know is what left the square under him, right? God. Where was it? Abjuration. It has to be an abjuration magic thing. Do we know of any abjuration magic? That it could have... Force Cage could have been. 10, extend cube around a target within 30 feet of them. Impenetrable cannot be destroyed by anything, not even by spells that can normally dispel spell effects. Any attempts to magically teleport. Well, that sounds easy enough. Sounds easy enough then. Put him into a cage and have a fire burn in there. He's going to run out of air sooner or later, no?
That will count as suffocation, I think.
Objection!
That's strange. What is it now? Commander White, you said that Steven attacked Von Sanctus with a fireball before she suffocated him. Yeah, she probably wanted to injure him so it'd be easier to subdue. But that's what I find strange. Von Sanctus knew he was under attack. So wouldn't he cast Force Cage to repel her? Yes, that's true. Von Sanctus was hardly a warrior, Cuthbert. Force Cage is an extremely useful spell, but it has to be aimed. If he was hit with a fireball, he must have been in immense pain. I doubt he'd be able to think clearly under the circumstances. I normally agree with you, but the crime scene tells another story. What do you mean, Mr. Cuthbert? Okay, I think I have a very different idea of what the game is telling me, but for some reason I'm still going the correct way. I'll take it. When we investigated the crime scene, we found traces of abjuration magic that formed a perfect square around the body. I'm sure if we measured the dimensions of the square, it would be 10 feet by 10 feet. Which is the same length and width as the cube created by Force Cage. Like you said, he was in no shape to aim it. So he cast Force Cage on himself to create a makeshift barrier. Ah, okay, I see. We're coming to the same thing then, though. I would have guessed she was the one to put him into a cage, but if he would cast a cage to block himself... I see.
Objection!
Nonsense. If Von Sanctus had cast a Force Cage on himself, he could have been protected from further harm. Ifana wouldn't have been able to suffocate him after that. Perhaps there's some way to bypass Force Cage? Yeah. You're right. God, trying to keep track of who knows what spell. But my idea is right. If he's in that Force Cage and she can't reach him, she can just set the entirety of the room on fire. He's gonna run out of air in that thing sooner or later. Once again, your ignorance of the arcane arts is made apparent. Force Cage is one of the most powerful abjuration spells in existence. It can't be dispelled and no one could teleport into or out of it. Right. Esther was also trapped in a Force Cage. And he had to wait for the hour duration to elapse. So how did Steven suffocate him? Right. The Force Cage is a perfectly closed space. Is it possible that he ran out of air? That would be a glaring weakness. House Von Sanctus obviously designed that spell to allow oxygen through the barrier. And before you ask, poisonous gases can't be pushed through the barrier either. Only oxygen can travel through it. Right, and even if they had used poisonous gas, the autopsy report wouldn't have said he was suffocated. How did Arya suffocate Von Sanctus? Only oxygen can travel through the bonds of a Force Cage, so how did Arya suffocate Von Sanctus despite that? Well, if the entire room doesn't have any, it sucks to be him. The fire consumed all the oxygen in the common room. Force Cage is specifically designed to allow oxygen through its barrier. A miserable coward. I'm not sad he died. Like, oh no, even if you were a horrible person, you shouldn't have died. Woohoo! What if there was no oxygen left in the room? Oxygen. So, it was a fire in the common room. Patron knew Arya couldn't harm Von Sanctus once he was in a Force Cage, so he started a fire to eat all of the oxygen within the room. Arya Steven attacked Von Sanctus with a firebolt in a common room. He reacted by casting Force Cage to protect himself. Seeing that she couldn't break through it, she started a fire to eat all of the oxygen in the room. Von Sanctus was probably helpless as he suffocated from a lack of oxygen. I mean, to be fair, getting burned... Well, okay, he didn't get burned, but suffocating to death is probably a harsher death than getting executed. Like, in terms of how much he was suffering before that. What should have protected him ended up trapping him, and the inability to dispel it ended up sealing his fate. Well, I suppose that explains how the defendant murdered Von Sanctus. With that in mind, a lot of this plan sounds like it was improvised at the moment. Just like the murder of Pierce. And not only that, we assumed that the patron used the same method to kill both Lord Von Sanctus and Lady Sybil. But I thought Lady Sybil died under the same circumstances. Correct. There was only one fire. And if Sybil was in a false cage, the defendant wouldn't have been able to throw her body into the lake Galacron. Which means Sybil must have died by asphyxiation elsewhere. Then it's clear our next course of action is to determine how Lady Sybil was murdered. We still don't know where she was murdered. And the only witness who saw her around this time was the High Speaker. Which was after the defendant disposed of Sybil's body. Well, the High Speaker's testimony is as good a start as any. For next witness, the defense would like to call High Speaker Theon Arcus to the stand. What's wrong? It's nothing. Please carry on. Oh? Does he not like the guy? I know I don't like him. Witness, you will testify about...
Oh, great and blessed Scale Lord, to think you would grace us with your presence.
Oh my god, it says... God.
Forgive me, Lord Italian, I spoke out of turn. You must think I'm an arrogant fool.
Oh, I see. Looks like the witness is schmoozing the judge for once. How many times do I have to tell you people that I'm not a god? Okay! Yes, I revere and serve the god of dragons, but I'm not Bahamut's avatar.
But you're a Scaled Lord.
Just a dragon. I'm not even a powerful one. I'm not a deity.
His humanity. That's exactly what Bahamut's avatar would say.
I swear to God.
Even worse, by the gods' name.
Lucio, please handle this. Perhaps another approach is warranted. High Speaker Arcus, the great and powerful battalion calls upon you today. We require you.
You require my blood? Of course, I will gladly give my life for the Scaled Lord.
What? No.
Of course, my blood could never be enough.
Would you just let me...
I will do as you wish, my lord. I might take some time, though. I will need to... I'll need some time to gather some followers and... Oh my god, we just want your testimony.
Just tell us what you saw when Miss Wind was at the West Wall balcony yesterday.
Oh, I see. If that's what you truly wish, my lord.
Are we just going to ignore how ready he was to commit mass murder?
Be quiet. We just got him to calm down.
Some paperwork in my quarters, and I suppose I lost track of the time. My alarm went off and I realized that it was time for my afternoon prayers. I began heading to the prayer room when I spotted Lady Steven looking over the westward balcony. I tried to greet her, but she didn't respond to me. That's when I noticed she was pushing something large over the balcony and into Lake Galacron. I asked her what she was doing, but again she ignored me and went towards the prayer room. I thought nothing of it and made my way there as well. That's when the guards there turned me away. I went back to my quarters to do my prayers there. Considering the timing of it all, this must have all happened minutes before she began attacking the prayer room. Yes, I consider myself lucky. The Scaled Lord must have graced me with divine luck. Please just stop. Considering how quickly she was moving, there has to be a reason why she waited there. Was she waiting for the High Speaker to leave? Perhaps you should closely examine the timing of these events. This is so funny. Okay, tell me more about this. So she ignored you. What was her expression like? It was very cold and emotionless. Adrian must have had control of her when this happened. Yes, that certainly makes the most sense. What time did this encounter happen? It was shortly after my alarm went off. It was definitely before 2 to 15 p.m. Still before 2:15, our encounter was short. That's when I noticed she was pushing something like... Okay, thank you for the new information. If it was that time... It just doesn't add up.
Objection!
What? There's something wrong. There is, but I'm not really sure what it means. Stop stammering and say what you want to say. High Speaker, you said that you saw Arya dumping something over the ledge of the balcony. There's no need to be vague, Cuthbert. It's clear from the evidence that he saw my daughter dumping Lady Sybil's body. That's the thing, Lord Stewart. It couldn't have been Sybil's body. What are you talking about? The location from the balcony to where we found Lady Sybil's body lines up perfectly. That may be, but the witness just said he saw Arya dumping the body before 2:50. Wait. You see too, don't you, Lucio? Why did Arya dump Corlin Sybil's body into the Lake Galacran before 2:15, if her time of death was 2:18? Oh, 3 minutes are a long time. See, that does seem peculiar. But we know that he found threw Sybil's body from that balcony. There would be no other explanation for how it ended up there. Yes, that's also true. Perhaps she was still alive when Arya threw her off that balcony. She could have been knocked unconscious with a sleep spell. You're right, there were no traces of conjuration magic on her body. And even if she was asleep, she wouldn't have survived the fall from that height. The distance from the balcony to the lake is more than 30 stories. And the autopsy report says that the cause of death was suffocation, not blunt force. Right. So when did she die? She died after she hit the water, I'm assuming then. She must have died after she hit the water. But Mr. Cuthbert, Lucio just said that she would have died upon impact. But that's assuming she didn't do anything to lessen the blow. She might have had the opportunity to cast a spell to protect herself. That might explain why her body isn't as damaged despite falling from such a great height.
Objection!
Again, that doesn't match with the evidence. Lady Sybil's spell compendium contains the spell Slow Fall. If she had the opportunity to cast a spell, she would have used that spell to slow her descent. And she wouldn't have taken any damage from hitting the leg if she'd done that. That's a really good point. But just indulge me for a second. Which spell did Sybil cast on her? Which spells does she know? Hold on. Slow Fall, Foresight, Strike Through, Detect Magic, and Stone Skin. Oh god. That's a transmutation spell. Divination, transmutation. She must have cast Stone Skin on herself. Stone Skin? If you recall, the high speaker mentioned that something was strange about the object Arya threw over the balcony. It was much darker and didn't match with Sybil's usual garb. Almost as if there was something else Sybil was bearing. That object was actually Lady Sybil protected by a layer of stone. Yes, but it still doesn't explain why she would cast that instead of Slow Fall. That's right. Why did Sybil cast Stone Skin on herself? Sybil cast Stone Skin before being thrown into the lake. She cast Stone Skin on herself before she was thrown into the lake.
Almost Ace Attorney means it isn't Ace Attorney now! This is Tyrion Cuthbert.
Arya must have attacked her and she cast that spell in response. That would protect her from the Steven strike. But that doesn't seem quite right. What do you mean? I may not have seen much, but I saw that the object Arya dumped was stiff and motionless. If it had been Lady Sybil, she would have been struggling against her, wouldn't she? Not if she was held in place. That's a good point too.
I'm good, how are you? Now that you are alone again, no cool push.
The high speaker saw Arya dumping a motionless Sybil, but if you assume my logic is correct, she would have also still been alive. Why was Sybil motionless despite being conscious? Why wasn't she struggling against Arya? Sybil was blinded by the afternoon sun. Was affected by a spell. She must have been affected by a spell, and considering it kept her from resisting Arya, the Patron must have made Arya cast that spell on her. And Arya knows Hodl. We have seen her cast it. Which one of these is it though? Hodl. Where's Hodl? Where's Huddle? There's so many of them. Which one of you is Huddle? This one. It was fun to think who was around. I'm glad.
It was whole creature.
Sybil must have cast stone skin on herself when Arya attacked her. The patron must have known that Arya couldn't physically damage her like that, so they ordered her to restrain Sybil with that spell. And Sybil died by suffocation. That's right, Lucia. How did Sybil suffocate? Even if she was restrained, Sybil was still protected by stone skin. That would have left only one option for the patron. Wow, thank you, game, for giving me my answer. I don't even have to change anything about this. Sybil suffocated when Arya threw her into Lake Galagrand. The stone skin lessened the impact of the fall, but it also made her drop like a literal rock. Arya's whole creature's spell prevented her from moving or releasing her spell. She was helpless as she sank to the bottom of the lake. Oh. I believe that covers all three of the murders then. Yes. Lord von Sanctus suffocated to death in his own force cage. Lady Sybil drowned after Arya cast Hold Creature on her. And Lord Pierce died after being wounded by a blade created with shaped liquid. The only common thread I see is that the patron used some of the victim's magics against them. But how does it connect to Pierce? Did he cast shaped liquid to make a blade to defend himself? Maybe the murderer took it from him and used it against him. But he was knocked unconscious alongside you. He couldn't have been the one to create that blade. Anyways, whoever did this had in-depth knowledge of each of the spells they used to defend themselves. They knew that Von Sanctus couldn't dispel his own force cage, and they also knew that he still needed oxygen from within it. And in Sybil's case, they knew Arya couldn't physically harm her once she had stone skin active. They also knew the whole creature would prevent Sybil from dispelling her own stone skin. Not only that, they did all of this in a quick time frame. Von Sanctus and Sybil died within 30 minutes of each other, and if Arya hadn't encountered Celeste, Pierce might have just died as quickly. So whoever did this had an in-depth knowledge of high-level magic. Not only that, they came up with creative ways to bypass— I'm sorry, I'm fucking up the voices right now. Not only that, they came up with creative ways to bypass the defenses put up by Von Sanctus and Sybil. Yes, they had the ability to react quickly and decisively. But considering the circumstances, that hardly narrows it down. Several members of the Four Pillar families were present that day. Each and every one of them studied at the Imperial Academy. They would all be knowledgeable in magic and its applications. Something they're saying isn't sitting right by you for some reason. There's something there, so why can't you see it? It's not you, so you just can't piece it together yet. But you're not finished. There's another angle to this. Consider who the patron did and didn't target. What's similar about some of the targets? The victims were Lord von Sanctus, Corydon Sybil, and Garrett Pierce. What's a similarity that we can draw between at least two of them? Arya and Arya are enemies of Arya. Sybil and Pierce are house leaders of Pillar families. No, not Pierce, my bad. And Von Sanctus are house leaders of Pillar families, there we go. Whoopsie. He as wishes he was. Von Sanctus and Sybil were the heads of their respective noble houses. Are you saying the patron's goal was to assassinate leaders of the Four Pillars? That's the motive that makes the most sense. He was mashing his hands onto loose rocks. Yeah. A little. I feel like if it, if it wasn't a programming issue and clearly the sprite is something else that's moving and the background isn't at all whatsoever, it would have been so funny. Like every time he smashes his hands down here, these little pieces start going up like pew! It makes wooden noise. Well, they only had the one sound effect. Don't be so hard. But it does leave one question. Don't be coy, I'm not daft, Cuthbert. Actually, I highly doubt it was you. Really now. Out of most of the people there, you could have easily tricked your daughter into signing a blood contract. But why would you need to do that? You're the Grand General of Five and God's military, and the cathedral was filled with your men. You could have easily equipped one of your best mages to carry out this massacre, and you wouldn't even need to make a deal with a demon to do so. So why wasn't Lucio targeted then? From her encounter with Celeste, it's clear there's a limit to Arya's combat capabilities. The patron might have simply doubted Arya's ability to defeat the Grand General, but there's also another explanation. Why didn't the patron target Lucius Stewart? The patron wanted to frame House Stewart for the murders. The patron wanted people to suspect House Stewart for the murders. They used Lucius Stewart and started to commit the crime. Then they intentionally left him alive to cast suspicion on him.
That's what I used my daughter.
Isn't that a tinge of anger you feel from him? Anyways, that leads me to my next point. Imagine if we never discovered Arya's black contract with the Empress of Discord. What would have happened? We'd still think that Miss Stevens succumbed to Mageblight. Endure! She would have been convicted for the murders, and trust in House Stewart would be forever diminished. About a month ago, House Frigga lost its head, and his successor, Leif Frigga, was woefully unprepared to take his place. Now the heads of House von Sanctus and House Sybil are dead, with House Stewart being held responsible for it all. All four of the Pillar families would have been weakened as a result of the massacre. But I think there's another layer to this. Everything fits together if we assume that the patron's goal was to weaken the Pillar families, except for the murder of Garrick Pierce. Yes, in contrast to Sybil and von Sanctus, Pierce's political power pales in comparison. Furthermore, Pierce was already scheduled to be executed next month for the murder of Flynn McCall. Why did the patron target Garrick Pierce? Why would the patron go to the trouble of murdering a condemned man? Because he knew something that wasn't allowed to reach the public. I mean, I guess it is randomized what options you get, but sometimes I really feel like, wow, really doing my work for me. I don't even need to read every possibility. Arya hit the foundations of Celeste's parents. Yes, absolutely. Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's parents. The patron murdered Pierce because they needed him to die as quickly as possible. Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's biological parents. My parents? Do you remember what Pierce said when he showed up for the meeting? Finally arrived. I suppose this means you finally decided. You two? Dang it, Arya, how's the time I'm going to stay standing without my parents' foundation? It makes for some really good sentences, that's for sure. Oh, Artie, speaking of Ace Attorney, you ever going to finish Ace Attorney? When's the last time you played it? Actually. He says. He says. I'm not a vampire whatsoever, so. Ah! I'm only someone who keeps pulling skin off their fingers. Yep. We weren't the intended recipients of that letter. That's right. So that leaves one last question. Who did Pierce originally send the letter to? Thank you, game! I can join you again if you don't want to get stuck. If that's your main issue. There's only one person Pierce could have sent that letter to. The person who orchestrated the massacre in the first place, the patron. What that means. The patron is someone who would be threatened by Celeste's parentage. I don't understand. I'm sorry, I know this is a lot to take in, but I think they were targeting you for some reason. Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's parents and attempted to blackmail the patron with this. Instead of complying with Pierce's demands, the patron instead sent the letter to me. But why go to the trouble of luring you there? They could have just allowed Pierce to wait in the prayer room while the defender made her way to murder him. Looking back on it, it's possible they wanted to kill Celeste too. What? They knew I wouldn't meet with Pierce alone, and the information he had was about her. The patron correctly guessed that I'd bring her with me. By killing both Pierce and Celeste, they'd eliminate any threats that Celeste would pose to them. But who would be threatened by such information? The mere existence of McCoy posed a threat to them. It must have something to do with her birthright. Right. So who would that leave? Who would that leave? All of the ones that are still alive, no? Could be any of them. Could be literally any of them. I think. Well, the offer stands, if you like. It could be the royal family. King of Avangard just recently died. What if Celeste was a member of the royal family? You think I'm a princess?
You've always been the princess of my eye.
I don't want to suspect Asta, but we need to consider every possibility. And when it comes to conflicts of inheritance, a royal line of succession is the first thing that comes to mind. Not only that, the king would have the authority to pardon Pierce for his crimes. But that wouldn't entirely make sense. What do you mean? If McCoy was abandoned at his heaven in Cornhaven, we must assume she's a bastard child. Okay, I don't know why you have to bring that up. My point is that King Olivia wouldn't abandon a child of pure royal blood. The kingdom requires heirs to continue the royal bloodline. He would have leveraged her in a diplomatic marriage. It's disgusting. That's diplomacy, Cuthbert. Anyways, even if McCoy was of royal blood, Asta's the king's eldest child. And he's of pure royal blood. McCoy would have no claim to the throne under these circumstances. Right, I see what you mean. I suppose that eliminates Asta for now. Anyways, we should consider the other suspects first. So who would that be? Frigga? I recall during Beatrice Frigga's trial we heard William Frigga's last will and testament. He mentioned that how Frigga's assets would be divided evenly between all of his children. If McCoy was to be revealed as a Frigga, his daughters would be legally obligated to share the estate with her. Seriously be a Frigga? I don't want to suspect Leif or Miriam, but we need to consider every possibility. And as we've seen, the Friggas are no strangers to making deals with demons. Damn, son! It still doesn't quite fit. I doubt Leif or Miriam would do something like this. What are you basing that on? I tend to be a good judge of character, and it just don't seem like the type to do something like this. Ah, you're far too trusting. I hold no doubt that any of William's children would be capable of something like this. I suppose we'll have to see. Okay. What about... As much as I have my doubts, her Steven is the only Pillar family whose house leader survived the past month. You think I'm McCoy's biological father? I mean, you have similar hair at least. You're barely a father to your actual daughter? I'm only stating a possibility for the sake of argument. As I've said, it wouldn't make sense for you to frame your own daughter when House Steven would be blamed. But we need to consider every possibility. Anyways, we should consider the other suspects first. Okay, and the Eye Taker. What if the Eye Taker orchestrated this whole thing? The Eye Taker, the common criminal? What reason would he have to do this? I've heard firsthand that he was planning to expand his influence toward Vivengard. He was actually plotting with Beatrice to use House Frigga to do so. Instead of his original plan, setting up that massacre might have been his backup plan. True. Perhaps you're looking at this all wrong. What if Celeste was a part of the royal family and they were planning to use her to take the throne? What if he wanted to do so? Why would he put McCoy in danger by having my daughter attack her? Not only that, he also had the perfect opportunity to murder His Majesty. Imagine if he had placed a more lethal contingent spell in that glyph of contingency. His Majesty might have very well died alongside Von Sanctus, Sybil, and Pierce. Yeah, I suppose you're right. But we need to consider every possibility. Can't think of anyone else. Yes, there's a flaw with each suspect. Your logic is clearly flawed. Well, you don't see him coming up with any ideas. There's something here I'm not seeing, but I know I'm close. There's a missing piece that ties it all together. Regardless, we still have no idea who this Empress of Discord is. I'm loath to allow such an individual to walk freely through Vivengard. You Grace, you've been alive since the creation of Vivengard and magic. You know who this demon is? Can't say I do. Demons tend to take on many titles over their lifetimes. Whoever this Empress is, they are brave to so blatantly encroach on my domain like this. I suppose we just have to cross that bridge when we get there. We've obtained a lot of information today, but we clearly have many questions that need to be answered. How shall we proceed? What is it, Mr. Cuthbert? I can't help but feel that there's something here I'm not seeing. I just can't put my finger on it. We have been working at this for quite a while. Perhaps we should suspend proceedings so that we can look into these new leads. I have no objections. It will give my man some time to look into what we discovered today. Yeah. What the hell? Okay, that was just... okay. I thought we accidentally skipped what Tyrion said, but no. Then it's settled. We'll be postponing proceedings for now. But you'll all be expected to return here by tomorrow morning. You're free to return to your homes for the time being. But make no mistake, the King's Guard will be keeping careful watch over all of you. Still this constant nagging sensation in the back of your mind. Tyrion? It's as if you've forgotten something extremely important. Tyrion? What is it? What could be so important yet so difficult to remember? Tyrion! Sorry. I was just thinking about everything.
You're looking really stressed out. Do you want to head back to your house to rest?
No, we only have a day until the trial resumes. If you can't figure out what happened after tomorrow, the magical traces will dissipate.
But you already know what happened, you just don't know who did it.
Yeah, but we should speak with the suspects again. Maybe if I get lucky, I'll see something through the Eye of Horus.
But one of the suspects is the Eye Taker. What are you going to do about him?
Suppose I'll have to speak with him too.
What? No! What if he tries to kill you again?
Arya's life is on the line. It's just a risk I'll have to take. Tyrion, do you even understand what you've been pulled into? What? Someone just... Fuck. Jesus. Someone just murdered a bunch of nobles and they even attacked members of the royal family. Yeah? Now there are ancient dragons and demon lords involved too. Isn't this above your pay grade? Ouch. You know that's not what I meant. Isn't just this whole thing... It's just this whole thing is crazy, isn't it? It's fine. It's just like any other of our investigations. It's not, though. What if the Empress of Discord attacks you? What if the patron decides that you're getting too close to the truth? What if I can't? My voice begins to break. Celeste. Are you still worried about what happened during the massacre? I'm fine. I already told you that you didn't do anything wrong. You almost died, Tyrion. I know. Tyrion, you almost died. I know, Celeste. No, Tyrion, I don't think you do. Do you have any idea how worried I was when she broke past me? When I saw you all lying on the floor, so many things were going through my mind. I didn't know what I would have done if you were... She can't even complete that sentence. Celeste, you were so focused on everything else that you've been ignoring her. She was attacked by Arya and almost died. You never even thought about how traumatic that must have been for her. I'm sorry, I didn't think... Don't apologize, just please. Please just leave the solution and the scale low. You've done enough already, they can't figure the rest of it out. But I want to help. I want to be the one that helps them figure everything out. I'm already this involved anyway. And what if it's not enough? I'm not so arrogant that I think they can't do it without me. But what if they can't figure out who the patron is? Arya will spend the rest of her life in prison. What if I could have done something to prevent that? I don't care if that happens. Celeste! I don't care, Tyrion. I'll apologize to her all you want after this, but all I want is to keep you safe. And I don't know if I'm able to do that anymore. Even she seems surprised by what she said. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to... I'm really happy you're part of my life. What? I know what you're saying is coming from a place of care. And I'm really sorry about how much I've been worrying you lately, but... You're not going to stop, are you? It's like I've always said. Man, king or god, nothing will stop you from getting justice for your clients. I'm going to talk to Lucia. What? If we're going to meet the Eye Taker again, we're bringing some knights with us. Celeste, that's hardly... Nope, you don't get a say in this. If you're not here when I get back, I will find you. Judging from her expression, it's not an empty threat. Fine, just go. She might have a point though. Before everything happened, you weren't even sure if you wanted to continue being an attorney. Maybe you should consider safe quite a life after all this is done. Perhaps a life with her. Wait, what? Alright, Lucia cleared it.
It was surprisingly easy to convince him.
Oh,
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Let's not waste any more time. Before she has a chance to respond, you hastily walk past her.
Hey, don't walk so far ahead.
You need to stay focused on the trial for Arya's sake, but when this is all over, you'll... Well, you suppose you don't have to think about that until then. Oh, they're so cute together.
Nah. 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 Nope.
Well, that's a very good place to end, actually.
Thank you for the pet.
Ooh. Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you for a nice stream. No, thank you for coming. Mel, from your humble experience, do you think we could finish the game next time? Or is it more a case of 2 more streams?
Thanks, Rosie. No, thank you.
I haven't properly figured out a schedule for next week yet, actually.
Next time is next time would be a Wednesday. Next time would be a Wednesday. So around the same, the 3 hours.
I haven't actually figured out a time
With Barry for the next tavern talk, though. That's a problem. That's on me. But this one is next going to be on a Wednesday. Well, worst case, it's just gonna be 2 more streams, then that's fine. That's alright. 1 stream in 50 minutes. Okay. Well, I can go overtime on Wednesday. Technically, I should be able to go overtime on Wednesday. So we'll see how that goes. We'll just have to see how that goes. But yeah, that's the plan for next week. More of this game, then also Tavern Talk. As soon as I actually talk to Barry, and find a day we both can do it. And then more Octopath Traveler, where I'm still considering what to do, because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I just went with the team of 4, so they all went with 4 people and then finished all of their stories and then went with the other 4 characters. But I don't think I want to do that. And then on Saturday, the plan is to actually get started on Kaito Files, that's for sure. Sorry for not doing that yesterday, but I did fall asleep at not even 9 in the evening. I completely slept through until this morning, and then again, I woke up, I treated that one thing, and then I fell back asleep again, so... I'll post a schedule. And then we'll see how it actually happens. But yeah, thank you so much for coming by tonight. I cannot wait for our showdown with the Empress of Discord. Oh, I wonder who that could be. Cough, cough. Having the option for the other character skills would be useful enough. I think I'm going to pick up everyone. Like, for sure what I'm going to do is pick up everyone. Just so we have, we're running around the whole place. And getting EXP just from running around and finishing the first chapter, so we have the option to put them into a party anytime we want. And then I'm gonna see how I'll go about it. My plan would be to always go for the next one who's the most similar to the second highest level in our team, because our main character Cyrus will have to stay. So I think the next one I should go for is Primrose, because Primrose also has a following thingy, and then just exchange her for Ophelia that way around. So it's always like, okay, and then everyone else has a chance to slowly level up. Blah 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 blah. It's just a gambling set of payment. No, it's Cyrus. Such as Tyrion's mirror. Yeah, exactly. We'll see how that goes. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for coming by tonight. I'll see y'all soon. I'm gonna send you guys over to you who's playing Death Stranding.
Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you all very, very soon, and I will post the schedule, even if it's a little belated. Wah, wah, wah. Good night. And bye-bye. Bye, bye-bye.